Call the meeting to order. East Lyme Board of Finance special meeting agenda. Those able, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight we are in our third night of deliberations on next year's budget. First order of business is delegations. Any members of the public present wish to come to the microphone and speak? In the back. Please state your name and address when you get up here, please.
Handicap friendly in here. Hi, my name is Tanya Harris, and I'm from 468 Main Street in Niantic. I'm here to speak about what I heard on the March 31st Board of Finance meeting. What I heard is the foot care clinic by a licensed foot doctor at East Lyme Senior Center is being cut because the Board of Finance wants to take that $12,000 and allocate it somewhere else. I'm here today to explain why I don't think that should be cut. Foot care is critical for seniors and disabled individuals like me to maintain mobility, prevent infections, or reduce fall risk caused by poor circulation or nerve damage. Most individuals don't even think about it until it becomes a necessity. That is what has happened in my case. Before I was run over by a car, foot care wasn't a priority, but now foot care is a necessity to me. Insurance often does not fully cover preventative care, placing the burden on the patient. Medicare only covers foot care if it's deemed medically necessary, and they only pay 80%. If you see a specialist for routine foot care or annual foot exams, it's your responsibility. Also, the amount you pay is based on insurance, how much the doctor charges, and type of facility. But if Medicare deems your foot care treatment not medically necessary, and or you didn't receive a referral, the cost is 100% your responsibility. Most individuals can't afford health insurance and a copay and 20% that Medicare doesn't cover. I no longer can cut my own toenails, very sad to say, because of where I broke my neck, C5 through C7. It's affected my hands, which can no longer be put into the position to cut my toenails safely. I'm in that category where Medicare doesn't see my issues as medically necessary. If you don't need it, you don't think taking $12,000 and allocating it somewhere else is a big deal. But if you do need it because your ability was taken away, then you would see the necessity of keeping the foot care clinic. If you cut this clinic, it will be a detrimental to many.
Thanks for your comment. Anybody else wish to speak?
Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. Karen Galbo, 9 Echo Road. I'm also the town clerk. I had emailed you the other day, and I just wanted to let you all know that I am here if you have any questions about my budget. Thank you.
Thank you. In the back?
Hi, my name is Bob Curry, and I'm the town treasurer and also chairman of the pension board. And I understand that the Board of Finance wants to cut $250,000 from the ADC, which is the actuarially determined contribution for the town. This is going to be devastating because you still have to record 100% of the expense, whether you pay it into the pension fund or not. If you don't pay it into the pension fund, it goes to the liability side of the financial statements. In addition, every year after that, any earnings that would have been earned had the money been put in the pension plan have to be expensed. So you're going down the wrong path for that. Also, if you do that, the rating agencies such as Moody's and Standard & Poor's, they do not like that at all. So that's going to affect the town's ability to borrow money at reasonable rates. We currently have an issue where we're behind on financial statements. Adding this in would be devastating to the town's credit rating. I look at this as you can't just decide you're going to pay 80% of your mortgage and not hope to have your credit rating not affected. So I urge you not to go down that path.
Thanks for your comment.
Good evening. My name's Christine Dixon. I'm the town tax collector from 50 Walnut Hill Road, also a resident. In listening to the March 31st deliberations, I wasn't here to defend myself. I wish I was. And you went across our line for conferences and education. And both Sarah, my assistant, and I, we are certified tax collectors. We have to be recertified, so we do need credit hours. These conferences and workshops pay for our recertification, and also transportation. We have new employees that come in that we would like to have educated so they know the Connecticut laws and statutes to help us collect the $80 million this town needs. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Anybody else wish to speak? Mike, and then afterwards the lady behind you.
Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Mike Beckich, 84 Hope Street, Niantic, Connecticut. Here before you tonight is the chairman of the Commission on Aging. Our constituency represents 35% of the East Lyme population. And I just want to let you know that when you look from the budgetary sense, our budget is roughly less than 1%, 0.33% of the proposed total budget. And of the tax dollars that's proposed out there, less than 1/2 cent of every dollar from taxes goes to the Commission on Aging, or 0.4 of 1 cent. We're a zero-based budget concept is what we employ when we put the budget together. So we try to put things in the leanest budget possible. In simple terms, our budget is only what we need, and that's what you see. There's no pie in the sky for a lot of reasons, one of which is we certainly don't have the extra space to run any program, so we're very limited as far as that goes. I'm here to discuss two items that you, at least preliminarily, took a position on the 31st. One of which was noted previously by the first speaker was the $12,500 in, specifically it's in the code 1054411, object 5590. Reduced that from 12.5 to 0 to get, that was basically discussed as what we call the foot care issue, which was noted already. A couple things I want to let you know about that is, first of all, there was some misconception that night on the 31st that was reimbursed. It is not reimbursed. The doctor does not get the money for that. So everything's out of pocket by the taxpayer, the contingent, our person from that gets the procedure done. So it's strictly out of pocket. It's $45 for the first, $35 for any subsequent procedure done. Now, this year we haven't spent any money, mostly because there was a program freeze, position freeze, etc. So we're still sitting with that money in there, and all we've had then in this particular year is the ability to have somebody come in to pay for full pay, to 35%. The numbers of the members of our group that came in were greatly reduced. They were minimized. quite frankly, because most of them are living day to day, and they don't have the extra cash to spend. Even though, as it was noted, it's critical care is foot care, but they have to try to cut things someplace. So the difference between spending $10 and $35 is a big issue. The last part of that I'd like to bring to your attention is we have applied, Kristen, who also sent a letter in on behalf of the board, Kristen Karamonica, to let you know that there was a matching grant that we applied for, which would be to the tune of approximately $6,000 for the $12,000 that we put in to it. That $6,000 is not a pie in the sky. We don't have it yet, so we can't apply it as having money in the fund. It has to be funded first by the town, and then we can go through the process. So in that particular case, that $6,000 would go a long way. Either you take it back into operations, or we could add a lot additional members of our group that have been a waiting list to try to have foot care done. To let you also know that $6,000 is not something we'd just be chasing. There are many, many towns in our region that are part of that program and are getting that grant. So even though we don't have it, we have a high probability that that would apply. The second thing I think that everybody, most departments here are for, is there was a cut from continuing education money from $1,370 to zero. Two pieces to that. The first piece I think is critical. In that money, we put in for 13 individuals that work either indirectly as part of the Commission on Aging or our instructors for CPR training. CPR training goes at the rate of $65 a person. 13 people that we were looking to train works out to about $845, if my math is correct. So of that 1370, 845 was there. Why is CPR critical? Well, first of all, our drivers for our vans would be 3 or 4 of those would make up that group. Administration, and also some instructors. If you think about it, we're dealing with people, for the most part, 65 and older, where you have a higher probability or higher risk that some CPR-related issue may occur. We have our buses out. Our bus drivers at least would be able to provide some sort of stopgap until a ambulance or a fire truck could arrive. A lot of times we're one-on-one or very few people and together on the buses, and I think it's critical that we have that there. So basically, the rest of the money that's in that fund is also critical because, as everybody else will tell you, it's the base where we have our peer knowledge, peer-to-peer knowledge occurs between our head of our agency and our assistant to other agencies in the state of Connecticut, where we find new programs, legislation, things that would be helpful to us at really no cost. There is no overnight money that's requested here. There's no out-of-state money. It's very basic, just membership and 1 or 2 meetings a year. Again, it only works out to about $525. Respectfully ask you to reconsider your action on those, and thank you for listening.
Thanks for your comment. Anybody else?
Diane Vitagliano, assessor, and I'm here tonight because I think that you had some questions for me on March 31st. So I'm here to let you know that I can answer any questions later this evening, and also to talk about line 53-200, which is the professional conferences, the education. It is required for our state certification, in the assessor's office. We do actually have an assessor school. We have the Yukon Assessor School, which is held the first week in June. This is its 82nd year. For 9 years, maybe more, I've been an instructor there, and I did that to help my budget. So what that would enable me to do is get continuing education credit, and I would have free room and board up at Yukon. But there are some issues, some health issues in my family, and I am afraid I'm not going to be able to teach, so I won't be able to contribute that part to the budget. We do have those requirements, like I said. I'm also a certified residential appraiser, and I require continuing education for that as well. And we do the fall symposium, which happens after the legislative session, where we learn how to implement all those laws, which they just, they seem to keep aiming at our grand list. And that's where we learn how to implement them. So thank you very much. I don't envy any of you. You're put in a very difficult situation. But I am available to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your comment. Wendy?
Wendy Sims, Green Valley Lake Road. I am the registrar. I made myself available today to save Kevin from trying to translate my text. Just a couple of things about our budget. Our supplies line was reduced. We don't have specific supplies for only election day, only primary, only referenda. That's why it's in a general supply. With new legislation being passed this year, we'll have to do things differently. So we buy supplies across the board that we reuse. That's why it's not always in the best interest to only have it under election day or primary referenda. So if you have any questions, and to save poor Kevin, I'm also here. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Okay. Our only new business item tonight is budget deliberations. And I do want to get through some of these public comments, but I think I'd like to deal with the capital improvements, capital projects budget proposal first. And then once we see what we're able to accomplish there, maybe we can address some of these items brought up tonight. Does that sound all right with everybody? Good.
Scott, this is Barry. I just want to let you know that after a glitch, I am online watching this.
Great. Thank you, Barry. Glad you're here. All right. Right now, the capital projects budget proposal that we received, there we have it, has a recommendation of $6,999,720. That is a reduction from where they started. I think they started almost 12 million. So I certainly applaud their diligence in moving through that. I have a number of suggestions that I would like the board to address tonight. On the first page, under General Government, under the Information Technology section, the bottom row is Town Hall cameras. I am uncertain exactly why we need additional or any Town Hall cameras, so I'm wondering whether or not there might be appetite to cut that. That would be a savings of $70,000. Let's get a motion on the floor, maybe.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce the town hall cameras and supporting infrastructure by $70,000 and zero it out. Discussion?
I know I was on the capital improvements. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, those are in place because we currently don't have cameras, and I know there was theft in the parking lot, and then was it also for inside with the tax collector's office?
Yeah. Come on up.
So, yeah, there was cameras proposed in the capital improvement plan for this building as well as the community center. When we went through the process initially, we removed the community center for this year and just did the town hall. So there was, I believe there was 2 town cars stolen out of the lot, and as well as a resident's car was stolen out of the lot here. That, along with some of the departments getting, various heated people coming in. We have in place right now, it's essentially what's left of a home camera system. I think it was around $600 or $700. They put up a few cameras. They don't work, but more importantly, they don't tie back to dispatch to the police department. So when they did the build out of the police department, they bought enough licenses in their camera system that they watch and dispatch for, I believe, 120 cameras, which is most of the expense that we've spent on these cameras is the licensing so that they can watch them. So we have licensing enough, we have free licensing enough to do the cameras here and community center. What this camera system would do would do the outside of this building, inside in key areas, as well as be viewable by dispatch. So 24/7 somebody be watching these cameras. So that's what the project was for.
May I ask how many cameras in total the 70,000 includes?
I would have to look at the breakdown. I believe, if I do a quick count in my head, I believe it was about, the cameras come to about $2,000 a piece for the cameras alone, plus it's about $24,000 for the server that would have to run here to manage those. I want to say it was around 18 cameras.
18 cameras and $24,000 for the server.
Correct. And I can get you the exact numbers on those, but that's what I had to recall.
And I believe you said that the issues we had were in the parking lot.
Yes, so there was some in the parking lot, and then we've had some disgruntled people in tax as well as in the town clerk's office. So
Right. Is there a reduction from 18 cameras to something lesser that you think could still hit our highest risk areas?
So because the camera portion itself isn't all that expensive. I mean, if you cut the cameras in half, I think we only save about $15,000. That's the reasoning why we had originally thought to maybe do half the community center and half the town hall. But the way that it's set up, once you have the server here, that's the heavy cost, and then the cameras are not so expensive afterwards. So we decided to do this building first and then community center second.
I know you mentioned that dispatch has a license for 120 cameras to be able to view centrally. How many are in use by the town right now?
I believe we're using about 48.
Out of 120?
Correct. And those are perpetual licenses.
Understood.
So.
And why exactly would it be that we would need to have a server here versus a server centrally located in the data center?
So all the recording will have to be done here. They can do, what they do is they do a live view over there, so they'll see everything as it's happening, but that comes in at a much lower bit rate. So we're not transferring 4K data over that line. There's not much line in between here and Town Hall until we get our town fiber up. They'll need to be able to record here and then just pull snippets over. So they'll see the live view, which is like a degraded view. And then if they have to pull motion clips, they'll pull those over. But we wouldn't be able to send all the live video from here over to PD.
Okay, so for these 18 cameras running on a $24,000 server, how many days of video, surveillance video, is planned to be stored?
So we're looking for 3 months of retention.
Okay, so I know I'm probably not at liberty to instruct, but I don't think that for the purposes of an investigation, we would need to have 3 months of storage of surveillance footage.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation. In my background, 30 days was plenty, so I'm going to say that I would recommend that we reduce the size of that server to hold only 30 days unless there is something from a public safety standpoint, some regulation that requires 90 days.
I don't believe that there is. The $24,000, that's sort of the entry level server that they have for it, but I can certainly see about quoting if there's something less than that.
I would think they could size the server for 30 days, and that would allow you to get the dark fiber here to town. And then you would be able in the data center to have a storage area network or other servers that should be able to manage that once you have your dark fiber in.
Certainly, yeah. And just so everyone's aware, we had this discussion in CIP because a lot of these projects are put forth by myself, but they're not necessarily IT projects. So this was more of a public safety. There have been a lot of calls for town hall. So I'm presenting it for other departments, on the technical side, but there may be other departments that might want to speak to it.
And can I just ask, because I see our chief of police sitting in the back, has he reviewed the plan for the 18 cameras, their location, the coverage that would be received on their surveillance videos?
We had discussions of coverage, but I don't think you looked at the plan in detail, no, but we can.
So I think it would be, understanding you're the IT steward, we have our chief of police or his designee really understand what cameras are needed. Maybe we don't need 18 to cover the parking lot and the internal building. I guess it was for the tax office.
Yeah.
I think it would just be helpful to have the chief or one of his designees review that plan to see if we can reduce the number of cameras.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
And my additional question maybe is for you and or the chief about the need to look at that footage in real time versus after the fact.
And that might be a question better for the chief, but I know, from other instances in town, if they can see things happening live, they can get officers here pretty quickly. So I know that's a big help. Because right now, someone would have to go down into a closet downstairs and be watching the cameras, and there's just nobody to do that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just to talk about security for my office, which is non-existent. We bring in $79 million, and it gets a little crazy in July when collection season is happening. Anybody can just walk right into my office. I have no locked door. I have no locked gate. So I've been very vocal about doing something in my office. I would hate to have to wait until something happens in there. And security, I would think it's a big priority because it gets scary in there sometimes. We do have buttons. I don't know where they go to, but we have a button that we're supposed to press. But yeah, most of the time people can hear rumblings in the office, so we do get people that come to the office to make sure we're okay. But it can get a little heated during tax time. So.
Yeah, thanks. Go ahead.
I just wanted to pile on to that too. Part of the request came from a statute that was passed last July 1st, that the camera needs to be on the ballot box when we're issuing absentee ballots. So this year it's going to be referendum time, primary time, election time, and I believe the film needs to be stored for at least 12 months after, in case there's any sort of question. So,
I'm sorry. I can't ask questions. Can we ask questions? Can you clarify just on that camera for the ballot box, correct?
yeah, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So,
We're not in public delegations. You can ask
okay.
questions.
I had to double check myself.
Go ahead, Rich.
Okay. My state of mind right now is that This had come through the CIP committee, and we trusted the CIP committee to kind of wither things down to a reasonable amount. Since they came down to 7 million from 12 million, I think they did an excellent job. The security aspects, I believe, are well warranted, especially as our tax collector and town clerk have mentioned, and also the reports of stolen vehicles in the parking lot. You can nickel and dime some of this and maybe you'll save 10,000, but I think this is a best guess estimate of what's needed. It's always been that if funds are in excess of what the capital expenditure is, they get returned. So if our IT director and the police can come up with something that's more cost efficient, perhaps that will be. But I think we should approve the 70,000 that the CIP committee approved.
So I disagree, and I don't think that's the motion. I'm sorry.
The motion is to cut all 70,000. It was moved and seconded. That's what we're discussing. So I'm interested in a bit more research, maybe, into the need for real-time monitoring and whether there's any savings in the 18 cameras versus maybe some reduction in 18, and what level of savings we might attain from that. I have no issue at all with having a camera in the assessor's office and at the ballot boxes, as has been suggested. I just want to make sure that we're not doing it, doing every area in town hall when we may not need to. So I'm going to maybe entertain a motion that we table this until we can get more information back. We meet again on Wednesday night. Is it possible to have that information by then? Sure. Anybody want to?
Okay, I'll make a motion to table this motion for now.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Moved and seconded to table the discussion of the 70,000 until we can get more information and hear back from IT and perhaps the chief of police by Wednesday night. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think we're 4-0, and Barry and Sandra, I didn't get votes from either of you guys. You want to come on the camera and tell us?
Just give me 1 second here, Scott. I was an aye.
Great.
I'm in favor of it.
Sandra, are you on mute?
So we're 5-0 at this point. I'm going to say that because we're 5-0 and unable to collect her vote, the motion carries to table. Thank you. Thank you. The next item up that I have is the in roads, bridges, and paving. Yeah. The $50,000 for the Fairhaven Road Bridge carrying costs. Discussing whether or not we need to have all 50,000 this year, or whether or not there's an opportunity to defer some of that. So I was going to entertain a motion that we cut that 50,000 by 25, so it becomes a $25,000 item. Anybody want to move that?
I think I need to have a refresh on what the carrying cost is.
Is Joe Bergoff sitting behind me?
Yes.
He is.
He'd be the guy. Joe, do you want to?
Joe Bergoff, Public Works Director. So we have two bridges, federal local bridge program, Colony Road Bridge we're doing right now. Fairhaven Road is next year. It's going to start next spring. 100% funded by the state and local, state and the federal government. However, it's a reimbursable program. $10 million job. So contractor in April, May could send a pay application for us for $1.5–2 million, and we had to pay for it. So as long as the general fund can pick it up, that's what that was covering. So we were putting it in there just to, if he doesn't have $2, $3, $4 million sitting around, then he has to
Take out a loan or something.
get a loan to get the money. So we can cut it by 25 and hope that he has money to pay it. The problem is May, June is when we start getting light, and then they get more money, I think, in July, because the taxes are every twice a year. So that was more something, I don't mind a cut, it's a matter of, do we have money for it? So it's not my office, it's finance. But that's what it's about. It's about, we have to float the money on this job.
Thanks for that explanation.
So, Kevin, may I ask, why isn't that 2 or 3 million isn't showing in capital because it will get refunded, correct?
Correct, yep.
But if we have to take a loan out for it, for however long, right, it's just going to add to our debt service coverage,
So
correct?
we would never take out it would be a short-term note. It would be a month-to-month, kind of almost like a line of credit. If we were in a cash crunch like that, it was a 10 million, like the public works director said, is a $10 million project. So the idea is if we needed that $10 million over the course of 3 months, we make it into a cash crunch issue. We do have 16 million sitting in our fund balance, 16, 17 million in our fund balance, but we do get 2 tranches of money in January and July. So as he alluded to, in May, June, you start winding down. At the end of June, we do pay approximately $5–6 million balloon payment for teachers before they go into the summer months. So if that's the timing, and we do hit with a multi-million-dollar bridge project, the idea was to have funding there to pick up interest costs if we needed it. But with the shape of this, we'll just be good stewards of getting those monthly invoices into the government for reimbursements. So just something to keep in mind if the projects do kind of, if it takes a while for them to reimburse us, we'll keep you guys apprised of that if there's funding that's needed, but it doesn't appear so at this stage.
Barry, you have a comment, question?
Scott, Scott, can I jump in here with just one question for Kevin?
Yes.
I'm looking at the general fund budget summary, the line item for cash capital. Is capital improvement projects included under that line item, or if not, where is it included under the general fund budget summary?
So, okay, so when you're looking at the capital projects work paper, do you want to do PIP for me, or does that shut off Barry from? Yeah. Okay, never mind. So, so on the bottom of the capital projects work paper on the town website, there's a little reconciliation piece at the bottom, and if I pull it up, Barry, we lose you. So it's either one or the
no
other.
problem.
So what I'll do is I'll explain it to you, and then we'll switch over to PIP so you can see what I'm talking about.
So, but it's on the town website under capital improvement projects, because I have the breakout from the capital improvement committee here.
Yep.
And I'm just looking at under the general fund budget summary. So it's not reflected in the general fund budget summary?
It is. It's that cash capital amount, the $1,055,571.
Okay, all right.
You see that there?
Got that. Okay, so that's where it is.
Okay, now, we're going to lose you for a second, Barry, but you're going to be able to see my screen, and you'll see how that reconciles to the bottom of the cash capital work paper, or the capital projects work paper. All right? And then we'll give you 10 seconds, and then we'll flip back if you have a follow-up question. So you want to switch over for me, James? So we'll highlight this for Mr. Barry. So just so everyone, maybe Barry can still hear me, but I can't interact with him.
Could you enlarge it, please?
Sure. So what I just want to do for everybody is say, okay, so the town has $6.9 million of capital projects. How we fund them, either a 20-year bond, 10-year bond, 5-year bond, or paid for in cash, right? So you can see the cash, that black line 103 across the bottom, paid for in cash is $761,720 with paid for in cash projects. Of that $750,000, just for rough numbers, $750,000, $520,000 of that is paid for from LoCIP funds. $241,000 will be paid for by town cash capital, and we will have lease payments of $293,000 to pay. The total cash capital outlay is $1,055,000. We will be bonding for $6,238,000. Okay, so you can see if you had the bond capital, $6,238,000 plus the cash capital, that's how you get to this $7 million number.
Okay.
Does that
All
make
right,
sense?
so
Barry?
so just one follow-up question. So that if we're trying to have an impact upon this year's budget, the items we're discussing right now in capital improvement are reducing that 1,055,571 figure?
There's twofold. We have to look at the cash capital piece, and that affects this current year's budget, right? Because that's affecting directly what we pay out with taxes. But that 6.238 million that we're going to be bonding is 1.238 million, 1.3 million essentially more than what we are paying off in bonds in the given year. So principal, we're paying off just under $5 million of bonds, and we will be adding 6.2 million to the debt load. You're paying off 5, you're adding 6.25. Does that make sense? So even with the
Yes.
$1 million, even with the $1 million of cash capital, you're still in a $1.25 million debt spiral. Does that make sense?
Right?
Okay. All right, good.
And if I could just add to your graph that you so well put together on our debt service coverage, all it is doing is taking the next several years where we have our most significant spike and increasing it even more.
Yeah.
And frankly, that is what I am most concerned about. So to Rich's point, I think it is amazing the work that the CIP committee has done, because they have scrubbed the list. And from my perspective, if the town had $7 million, these would be amazing investments for the town to spend $7 million on. But we have a significant debt service coverage problem in this town, and there needs to be a date in which we address it, because we cannot keep kicking it down the road. And so when I look at this list, I do appreciate the work of all the department leaders and the CIP committee, but I look at this list and I say this town, with our current debt service coverage issue, cannot afford another $7 million being approved this year. So I would like us to entertain more cuts, or to ask the CIP committee to come back with more cuts.
I have a number of them that I was going to go through. We just happen to right now be on the Fairhaven Road Bridge.
Fair enough.
And if all of the ones that I'm going to recommend go through, that is about a 1.4 million reduction from 7 down to 5.6. That's where I'm headed.
Okay, great.
So I certainly appreciate your points and Rich's points about trusting the work that the committee did. I'm recognizing the challenges that you are highlighting, however, also, Kim. So back to the issue at hand with the Fairhaven Road Bridge. It sounds as if, so long as, if I'm understanding the situation correctly, this is a small addition to a potential payback should the funds not come through. And so we could, and I also did not hear from our Public Works Director the criticality of retaining the 50,000. So I'm going to actually suggest that we reduce that item by 50,000 and entertain that motion.
So moved.
It's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion?
Yes, I would like to ask the question, if this is just carrying cost, from a GAAP accounting standpoint, is that even expense that can be capitalized?
This, this is more of a, this is truly a contingency. This wouldn't be, I mean, this is if there was something that we had to do that we didn't have the funding for. And so, is Joe still standing behind me?
But it's interest, like we're paying interest, so.
Correct, it wouldn't be capitalized.
Then why is it on the capital list?
So, I know we keep having this
We do.
dialogue. Yeah, so we can always take that off. I think we have to take it offline because capital items don't always have to be capitalized, like depreciated. And maybe that's just a government way of looking at it, but so anyway, just back to this Fairhaven Road project. If the cut goes through $50,000, if anything out of the ordinary or extraordinary comes through, we would just reach out to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance for additional appropriation in the future. So I don't think this stops the project. I don't think this affects the operation of this project. Is Joe nodding his head back there?
Probably.
Both ways.
So I think the project will still go through, but if there's funding that we need for something that's not covered by state or federal reimbursements, will come before the boards.
Thank you.
Question?
Go ahead, Rich.
So we had a discussion of eliminating the 50,000. We had a discussion of eliminating 25 of the 50. You're mentioning that it's kind of a stopgap for in case we need to float a loan if at that time of year because of when we collect taxes we might be short. Would 25 cover the interest that's needed, or would our contingency be able to handle the interest that's incurred should we not have the funds readily available?
So when we talk about contingency, just so everyone at home is aware, we have a $100 million budget. We have $250,000 in contingency. Last year, a big portion of that, over 10%, was used for a dock that washed up on the shore. The other major issue was a boat that was $30,000 to remove. So that $250,000, I mean, this year our bond anticipation, no interest, is $1 million. So the answer is no, that $25,000 wouldn't cover it. I think that would be a gap to get us to additional funding if needed. You know what I mean? Until we would get further funding. If something catastrophic were to happen, or we needed more money, that would just be okay, that $25,000 will get us until we reach the Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance within the next month for additional appropriations.
And that would be what the 50,000 would be as well? I'm getting confused by what you're telling me.
So this was truly a contingency for carrying costs if we needed money. I don't think we need it at the moment. I think there's other, we can manage our cash flows for the $50,000. There's more of a need to shave down the debt than it is to worry about that 50,000.
Okay, and then back to what Barry was asking, I think I can interpret what he was asking. It wouldn't affect our total cash capital that we're having in our budget, but it would reduce our total capital that we're spending so that we would have to bond less. Anything that we remove from this list, is that a correct assumption?
Okay, James, switch me back to PIP real quick. So when you're looking, I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page, because questions are telling me we're not. So if it is in column S, it is paid for cash capital in the general fund appropriations this upcoming year. If you cut any projects in P, Q, and R, that is helping the debt load, but not the taxes for this year, right? So for this $50,000 for Fairhaven, if we put the cut here, scroll down, I have to press enter first. It should say 1,005,000. Scroll down. 1,005,000. Now, what the board can say to me, okay, we still want that to be 1,055,000. I scroll up and I find some projects. Oh, look at this. The bleacher replacement for Smith Harris Park. I move that from bond over to cash. right? So that's kind of the adjustment that happens here. Does that make sense?
Okay, so if we reduce our cash capital, we reduce the tax burden for the taxpayers. If we maintain it at the same, we can reduce our debt spiral.
Big caveat though.
Okay,
If you
give me the
reduce cash
caveat.
capital and don't reduce the overall capital projects, you are just further exacerbating your debt issue.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But if you're taking out of both,
Yep. If you're taking out of both,
yeah.
you know, that's good on this, you know.
And in this situation, that's what you're doing, is taking it out of both.
Yeah, if you when you eliminate, yeah, yep.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you for the clarification.
Motion, thanks, everybody. Motion on the table is to reduce the Fairhaven Road Bridge line item in capital projects, which is currently at $50,000 to zero. Any further discussion? Barry and Sandra, you want
Yes.
to come on?
I just had one question on that. So that following up on what Rich was just saying, Kevin, does that mean if we reduce it to zero, it takes it out of both cash capital and debt?
Yes, it does.
Correct.
Okay, good.
All
All
right,
right.
stay on, both of you, so I can hear your votes, please. All those in favor of reducing it from 50,000 to zero, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I think so. I think it was 6. All right. The next item I have to talk about is the 2015 wheeled excavator, also in the Public Works budget, a $230,000 cost. My understanding is that it's maybe in need of refurbishment, but not necessarily replacement. And I would like to hear from Joe about that item, if you don't mind.
Brought my laptop because I have my emails and stuff. My highway superintendent gave me an update that that equipment, piece of equipment has 5,000 hours on it. Can it be cut? It can. I understand the crunch. It's our bread and butter. It does everything for us. It's getting tired. It could move another year. It just concern, and again, everything's going on, is everything keeps getting pushed on the equipment side, and that's where our fleet maintenance costs go up, and then we want to cut the fleet maintenance. So the fleet maintenance is going to go up as we keep equipment longer, but it can be cut if it has to.
Okay, thank you for being candid about that. I'm not recommending cutting the replacement of the 2012 loader or the chassis and refurbishment of the 2011 dump truck. I'm recommending keeping those, but the 2015 wheeled excavator, I'm going to entertain a motion that we zero that from 230,000 down to zero. Anybody want to move?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Moved and seconded to zero out the 2015 wheeled excavator from 230,000 down to zero. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Rich.
Joe, can I ask you, for the potential increased maintenance, do you have that in that line of your budget?
I don't. We can't carry individual pieces of equipment. The wheel loader, for example, we spent $25,000 on repair this year. We weren't even going to spend those repairs in like January when it died, and it was one of the main pieces of equipment we used this winter for all the everything we did.
Right.
So it's not the way we work, unfortunately, Rich. We're going to set aside an extra $5,000. So if that excavator needs another $5,000 worth of repair work, which a lot of these older pieces of equipment are getting to, it's just going to drive the fleet maintenance costs, which, again, if you look at the actual fleet maintenance as opposed to what I've been budgeting, it's over every year, so we have to absorb it. So to answer your question, no, I don't have that carried.
Right.
It's just going to be another cost that is a variable cost, streetlights, fleet maintenance, all the things I told you guys about, that just keep going over and can't absorb it anywhere. So we're just not going to be able to do some things because we have to pay for all the things that go over.
Appreciate that.
Joe, I'm sorry, while you're at the mic, if you had to make a decision on only getting one of the 3 replacement items, what would you pick
Of the 3, well,
of your 3
as
replacements?
Scott just mentioned, I do appreciate the loader has to go. It needs a $40,000 brake job on top of the 25 we just spent, so that is absolutely item number 1. Or we need to probably curtail the transfer station operation because it's the main piece of equipment. We had the
There's a,
the wheeled excavator. What is the third?
the large dump truck, a 2011 14 EL. I don't know if that's a 14.
So what that was all our dump trucks. A dump truck costs $350,000. We put in 145. We were trying to save money by, instead of actually replacing a $350,000 truck, we were going to, those trucks have stainless steel bodies, so we're going to take the stainless steel body off that doesn't rot and get a new cab and chassis for the 145.
Right.
So then the committee, and I think I was the one that proposed it, cut that down to 70. Instead of replacing the cab and chassis, we're going to take the body off and try to sandblast them and get all the rust. I mean, it's just like your own personal cars to see what's underneath these trucks after all the salt and everything like that. So I would highly recommend you keep the loader and keep the 70,000. But if you had to do it, the wheel loader is first. If we don't start, we have 10 of these big dump trucks. We haven't replaced one in 7 years, and they cost $350,000 each. And they're our bread and butter. If we didn't have them this winter, we would not have been able to plow roads. That's the best thing I can say. One is the transportation loader. 2 is the 70,000, which, as the members of the committee already know, was cut from 145 because we were trying to save money. And this is just a last blast of trying to extend the life of these trucks. And then the third was the wheeled excavator, which is probably going to need repairs, but it's still working. But it is our bread and butter, so if it does go down, we'll have to outsource the work to contractors, which is going to cost 2 to 3 times more.
Okay, thank you for the explanations. All right, the question on the table is the wheeled excavator, zeroing it from 230,000 to 0. Any further discussion?
Yes. Kevin, back to contingency again. Should Joe overrun his budget for repair of this equipment? Is the contingency healthy enough to be able to help take care of that?
So,
I know it's a difficult question.
so he's standing behind me, so he knows my answer. So I will say just on the onset, Joe does a really good job with his budget, and he's one of the only department heads that always comes to me and says, how can I help? How can I turn over money? And he never really, and he's never asked me for money. Not just like to any other department, just saying he, very good. This year we are still in a spending freeze, so at current no, that would have to be something, if that died today, that'd have to wait until July 1 to fire that back up. So we're still in a spending freeze on the town side. Delaying hiring, trying to save where we can, so.
But this is for next year's budget, post July 1.
So say that died like July 4th, we would have a talk about him absorbing that cost in his maintenance line, and then as we get later in the year, when that line has the pressure of absorbing a 10% item with one fix, it would just be a line he would be under a lot of pressure. It is under pressure now. I think that line, his repairs and maintenance line, I think is approaching 400,000 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
something to be there's
Thank you.
yeah.
Any further discussion on this item?
Scott, could I ask one question here? We're running into the same kind of deliberations we had on the capital improvement committee between where the capital was and where the debt was. And Dan and Kevin helped us out a great deal because we gave them a figure saying that we want to reduce by this much, and admitted that as members of the committee, we did not have the information to figure out all the contingencies of reductions here, there, in the different departments. So this is a question to, and Scott, I think you began by saying that on your calculations, you had about $1 million to cut out of this. Is that the figure that you had in mind?
About 1.4, and I did discuss these
Okay.
with Kevin in advance to get his input.
Okay, so if we have 1.4, the question I had to Kevin and Dan is, if we could ask them to go through this committee and come back to us with $1.4 million in cuts, Would that be a more efficient and effective way of doing this than having us take on discussions of each individual line item? So Kevin and Dan, can you take on this item and cut out 1.4 million?
I think that we still have to cut them line item by line item.
Okay, we have to
Barry.
cut them line by
And
line.
we still have to have the discussion line item by line item. And I
Okay.
assure you, I really, really did talk to Kevin about these.
Okay, all right. You're ahead of me, Scott. Thank you.
Okay. So I mean, that we would just be deferring it for a meeting when I think we can get it done tonight.
Okay.
So, Sandra, any questions from you?
No, I'm good.
All right, let's stay online so you can vote. Any further discussion? All those in favor of cutting the wheeled excavator, $230,000 down to zero in the vehicles and equipment part of the public works budget and capital projects, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
I'm thinking 6-0. It passes. Thank you, Joe. Next item I have is another contingency fund within buildings and infrastructure, and that's for the Plants Dam rebuild. Right now, the budget is at $100,000 for the contingency fund addition, and I'm going to suggest that we zero that. Joe?
Can I make a comment that might help your discussion?
Yes.
This one's slightly different.
This job bids on Friday, so I should know your number, but you might cut it now, and then I might tell you on Friday afternoon at 10:30 that that's not a good idea. So if there's any way you can wait till Friday, we have a bid opening that's going to say, we have $500,000 steep grant. If it comes in at 550, we need 50. If it comes in at 480, we don't need anything. If it comes in at 620, we need 120, but we need to do this job because we need to leverage the 500,000 that we got for the steep grant. So the bid opening is at 10 o'clock on Friday. But you can cut it now. You're going to know a lot more by Friday.
I'm willing to be reasonable and wait.
So we do have, after the public hearings, the Board of Finance does have a meeting afterwards. So whether you cut it now and you wait to find out, or you leave it in and wait to find out, we still have another 2 bites at the apple.
Yes. Okay with everybody if we defer this until he gets the bids back?
Yes. I make a motion to table.
It never got motioned in the
Oh,
first place.
oh, okay.
So we will just remember, Kevin,
I'll
to
highlight it.
bring it as an action item for us to deal with at a subsequent meeting. Thank you. All right, down to parks maintenance section. Right now, the park improvement plan has $50,000, and Kevin is actually suggesting that we go up on that in order to cover for some of the other items that I'm going to suggest reducing. Have I got that right?
You know, Scott, when I gave you these suggestions, I thought they were between you and me.
No, the fact that we talked to, I think that we talked about it sort of gives me the credibility as a non-budget expert.
Yep.
So I was going to suggest the bleacher replacement, which is right now $50,000, go to zero, and that Jerry, you want to address that?
Good evening, Jerry Locken, Parks and Rec Director.
Thank you.
So the bleachers that we're talking about are the bleachers at Smith Harris Park. Smith Harris Park, for most people would call it, East Lyme Middle School. For the youth, sport fields up there, the football field and the baseball fields. The bleachers that are currently there are the biggest bleachers there that are next to the football field. We had them for about 20 years, and they were secondhand 20 years ago. So these bleachers are outdated, pose a safety hazard, and should be replaced or removed. So I guess the question is, yes, you can cut the $50,000, and the bleachers, Either we choose to keep them there or we choose to remove them, but they do need to be replaced. I think it's a necessary thing. We proposed to replace all of the bleachers. It was $150,000. The capital committee decided to phase that in, $50,000 a year for 3 years, give or take. So, if you're talking about removing this, we don't have any plan to replace any of the bleachers. If you take this out, we don't have any plan to replace it then, or no real options to replace.
Can you clarify what you said about safety hazard? Because that caught my attention.
So, yeah, currently any bleachers now that are over, I think, 3 seats tall should have, safety railings and things like that on. The bleachers that are at the youth football field right now are, maybe 10 tall. Some really rickety chain link fences kind of at the top, as a safety thing. They're just not in good shape. They stay outside. They've seen 30 or 40 winters. They're just not in good shape. So it's, anything over 3 sections high, we need to have kind of safety features installed. The ones that we have now, if you were to, you can't even buy the ones that we have now because they wouldn't be compliant with current, codes. They don't sell bleachers that look like ours.
All right, and so right now, it's a phased-in replacement over 3 years, so we wouldn't get the replacements for 3 years. Have I got that right?
You wouldn't get replacements for a third of them this year.
So you replace them, okay.
Correct. There are many sections of it. We're talking about taking if the budget is approved at $50,000, we would take the worst section of bleachers out, replace them. Next year, come back, do another one, and then the following year, come back and do the third.
I mean, I guess my concern is you just said that they were unsafe as is, and so you're only replacing one.
I think you're yes. I think you're right. I think all of these bleachers should be replaced. I think there's a question of whether or not what the town can afford. I think it's a things that keep risk managers up at night. I guess there are things that we do that we take a calculated risk at. There's a number the Board of Finance is trying to achieve. There are a number of things that we choose to fix or not to fix, and run the risk of doing it. In this case, we have a plan in place. I think there's a certain protection you may get from saying, oh, we recognize these bleachers are in need of replacement. We're in a process of doing that. I think that gets you, that's a reasonable thing for some people. In terms of, the recommendation without respect to money was that we replace them all. But again, it's comes down to a matter of what level of risk is the town willing to take, and which, what do our funds allow us to do.
I understand that, but I'm not a policymaker, nor do I work at the Board of Ed, but I feel like if you're telling us that all 3 of them are unsafe in their current configuration, shouldn't we be not letting them use the unsafe ones?
I think that would be the question, and safe or unsafe is a bit of a subjective statement. If you said on one end you could say any bleachers that we currently have in any park that aren't compliant with today's standards are unsafe, that's a big number of bleachers in all of the parks. I think the ones that we're talking about now are, beyond that. There are at least, one section of those bleachers up there has, some chain link fence that I think, yes, if it were this year, I think we would just say, we need to pull these out and they're just not going to be available for at least one section.
I don't want to take us too far down this rabbit hole, but I mean, is there anything that can be done to these unsafe bleachers short of replacement to make them safe?
I don't think our staff have the capability of, our resources will allow us to do that, no. I don't think there's enough maintenance that we could do to bring them to a state where I think I would be reasonably comfortable with their condition.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from board members about this bleacher replacement
I had
item?
one other question. Is it okay? Can I jump in with a question here?
Yes, Barry, please.
Okay. When we went through the review there, I understand that the ones that were the most dangerous were just like the 3 or 4 tier ones without any side rails. From what I understand, it'd be possible for you to take those out. If you took those out, then the spectators would have to bring in like lawn chairs to watch. Is that correct?
So I think in this case, different sports have different kind of crowds that they attract. A youth football game with large teams, large numbers of people attract, and there are fewer youth football games. They'll attract a larger group of people to attend. So not everybody would have a space along, the line surrounding the field to watch. Also, the spectators are focused on one side of the field in a particular area. In youth football, for example, there are designated areas for kids to be. If you go down to a soccer game at Bridebrook Park, much more space, much more area for people to set up lawn chairs and things like that. The youth football field in particular, just due to crowd control, crowd size, there's a designated place for them. And no, not everybody would be able to see the game sitting in a their own lawn chair along the fence.
Okay. Again, I think we don't make policy here, but it sounds like you should consider removing them if they're unsafe. And I'm not going to entertain a motion to take away the 50,000 then. You've convinced me. Any other discussion on this item? Okay. Then maybe Jerry, come back. The youth football, soccer, irrigation. I have been led to believe that you're going to be sourcing that irrigation from a pond that we are not supposed to be sourcing from. Have I got that right?
So we've had discussions with the water department about the potential for us to draw water from the pond there to irrigate. After speaking with them, they have a well. We would, legally, we could put a pump in there and pump out, up to what the state would allow us to pump out. But in talking with the water department, if we did that and it became some kind of a water shortage in town, they may have to throttle back their, use of that well to, keep the stream flow going and things like that. But we could continue to pump up to what, whatever the level of permit that we had to, to irrigate. So we don't think that that's a good idea. We think that the better idea now, after talking with the water department, is to work with them to potentially draw water from well 6 that's right up there, untreated water, and come up with some potential way of charging us for that water, untreated water, before it goes through all the treatment, so we could get it at a reduced cost perhaps and use that water to irrigate. That way they're in control of how much water we use. They, if it comes down to a point where the town gets into a water crisis, they can cut us off in the field, we couldn't irrigate. So this really puts the water department in charge of regulating how much water we can use. I don't want to be, we could go off on our own and do what we had originally proposed without regard to the water department. But again, I don't think that that's not what we want to do from a town standpoint. We want to be good stewards. We want to be good partners. We recognize that the water department is in a better position to make those kinds of decisions than the Parks and Rec department. So that's where we're focusing our efforts. The money in the budget now would be to connect to the well 6 untreated water and come up with some way in our operations budget. We'd have to pay some fee to the water department for our consumption. That's where we're at right now.
And the cost of that is the $50,000 item.
Correct. To connect our irrigation system and to fix whatever needs to be fixed to irrigate the youth soccer field, the youth football field, and one of the baseball fields. Yes, that are currently not being irrigated.
And if we don't irrigate them, what happens to those fields?
So just last fall, all of the middle school teams had to go be bussed over to Brybrook Park to play their fall sports because the field was a big dirt patch that couldn't be safely used for youth sports. So not only could the middle school sport teams not use it, there was limited use from the PE classes, from any other youth sport in town, the youth soccer league or whatever, they couldn't use the field, things like that. So yeah, the field is essentially unusable because it was too dry, no irrigation, the turf disappeared, and it was just a patch of dirt.
It's just because we didn't get enough rain last year in the fall.
Well, correct.
And if we get enough rain, if we pray for rain.
I don't think there's any amount of rain. That field at one time did have irrigation, but when well 6 came online, my understanding is that the irrigation was cut off to prevent any kind of backflow or something like that. Since that time, when well 6 was put in, the irrigation was turned off. That field has been in steady decline, and right now, it doesn't look much different than a parking lot. I mean, it's you can count the number of weeds on there, and it's, you could use both your hands and have enough fingers to probably count the weeds. There isn't any grass.
Going to give us the turf here.
It will give us the opportunity to establish some turf and eventually get it to more of a safe condition for people to actually play on that field, yes.
All right, anybody have any questions about this item? Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe as a layperson, I'm asking a silly question.
Okay.
But you mentioned untreated water. Is there any health risk for the individuals playing on this field?
No, treated water, I think, and I'm not going to kind of get into the water department, but treated water, I mean, that's when it goes through the whole filtering process and they add, I don't know, chlorine or fluoride or whatever they add to the water to make it safe to drink. Untreated water would be water that's from the ground out in the sprinklers. Kids are not drinking this water, it's just water from the ground sprinkling on your lawn. So health hazard, I couldn't think of any particular health hazard. I wouldn't encourage a kid to go drink out of a sprinkler anyway, but yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure,
Yeah.
because I remember days of turf fields going and there were all the health concerns. The second thing is, the kids were able to get bused over to Brybrook. Was there an issue with scheduling their games to be played there?
Yes, it was a huge disruption for the school, the bus company, the parents, all kinds of things that, yes, and our ability to schedule for other sports that were going on to give the kids from the middle school a chance to go over to the park to play. Yes, we had to shuffle things around. And again, the biggest impact is, the busing costs, the additional things that the school had to go through to get those kids over there, and, picking up for parents and things like that. There's just all kinds of, trickle-down impacts that are associated with moving kids from one field to another,
Okay.
particularly for school sports.
Okay. Two last questions. How long has it been since well 6 came online and the water for the fields was cut off?
Okay. All right, we'll have the expert here for Public Works.
Okay.
I think Joe might be in a better.
Yeah, well 6 was built about 20 years. It's not when well 6 came online. We tied well 1, so the wells down there, the baseball field on the north end, there's a well there. There's well 1A. That was untreated. It's our biggest well in town. It's untreated. It got tied into well 6 about 6 years ago. So well 6 got built 20 years ago. So
okay.
when that happened, the Parks and Rec irrigation well was right sitting on top of that well, and it's not supposed to be there. So it was disconnected.
Okay. So that's 6 years then that
Yeah,
it's
and then
been without irrigation?
When he says, and he was just untreated, it's raw water. It's just the water coming from the ground like everyone else. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not, there's nothing wrong with the water.
Okay.
It's just the water coming from the ground before you take iron, manganese, and all the stuff that
Gotcha.
put chlorine in it.
Okay. But six years that it's been non-irrigated.
Correct. Yeah, it's been unirrigated since what Joe just described happened. So it's about 6 years.
Since you've got a parking lot, essentially,
I
what would
think
it take
that-
besides water to get that in terms of cost to get it to be a decent turf field?
That's a.
I'm sorry to ask.
Yeah, and I guess I don't want to get too far into that, but, certainly if you don't have water, you can't have grass. So since in the last 6 years, the field has been in steady decline. At this point, what it would take to get that back up to the quality it was 6 years ago is going to take some time. Further complicating that are that it is on a property with schools, and we are regulated with which types of fertilizers, chemicals, or whatever that we put on grass to make it grow. We're limited at that site. So it's going to take longer even because of that. So it's going to take us probably several years to build that field back up into where it's going to be resilient and a consistently good surface for kids to play sports. But it will never get there without water.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments about the irrigation line item? Okay. So I'm not going to entertain a motion that we cut that unless anybody feels differently.
I would like to entertain, I would like to entertain a
You
motion.
can actually make a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we cut $50,000 for the youth football and soccer irrigation.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to cut the 50,000 to zero for youth and soccer irrigation. Any further discussion? Okay. Barry, Sandra, come online. We can vote. All those in favor of cutting that 50,000 down to zero, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
2, 3, 4, 5 to 1. The motion carries. All right. Kevin has suggested that we restore $25,000 to the park improvement plan on the basis of it was previously cut. Is this the one that was cut erroneously?
No.
This is not the one that was cut erroneously. This is.
Sorry, Jerry. There was a plan of just if you cut the bleacher replacement, irrigation, gave him the additional 25. You cut 100, you give him 25, and say, Jerry, here's 75,000. If 75,000 is about half of those bleachers. So that was the thought with the 25, just to try to get us that goal we were looking at of the $5 million range.
Yeah, thank you for being creative in your thinking. So it seems like if we're not cutting the $50,000 for the bleachers, then we don't need to add 25 back to the park improvement plan.
And I guess I will raise this again. So when we give just a pot of money without a defined project, we have no mechanism to know that it should be capitalized. I think I raised this in other meetings where it would make more sense to have $50,000 in the operations budget, and should there be a capital project that gets identified, you would then have the flexibility to convert it to capital. Approving $50,000 for a park improvement plan with no defined project is complete. This is not about you, but it's like a kid in a candy store. How would we ever know? How would we ever control that? I would be in favor of having more in the operating budget to handle repairs that aren't capital expenses. Like, capital should be tangible assets that can be depreciated over a period of time.
Jerry does give us a periodic listing. Jerry, do you like to go through your
Sure.
listing of projects?
Yeah,
for
and
that?
And they're all over 25,000 because that's our capital threshold, which is a whole other issue. So that gives you two
Yep.
projects in park improvement plan.
Sure. So in terms of, this is kind of our bread and butter of maintaining parks. And I would tell you that in the operating budget, our park maintenance line has been underfunded for years. So this was kind of an attempt at identifying funds for doing those things that we need to do on an annual basis to take care of things in parks. And ball field backstops, accessibility mats at the beach, timber parking rails that get damaged during the storms, things like that. So, and I take your point, but I'm just also telling you that in the operations budget for the Parks and Rec Department, the operating cost for park maintenance is lower this year than it was last year, and it's being cut continually. So, when you're saying that, I would say absolutely, go ahead and take this out of capital, but put 50,000 into park maintenance, and we'll make that work. If that's the discussion, I think that's not my call. But yes, if I'm told to take $25,000, make it a project worth that amount of money, I will certainly do that and propose those as individual projects. But I've got a backlog of dozens and dozens of things that need to be done that have not been done. There's no funding for them. So I'll leave it up to the board to tell me which way they would like me to go, because I'm good with either.
So just to drive this point home, that 50,000 is under the 5-year bond column right now, which, I'm sorry, doesn't make sense, particularly from a GAAP accounting standpoint, when we're going to be capitalizing repairs that don't meet our capital threshold. I would much...
We don't capitalize repairs.
He just described all those things as repairs, Kevin.
So there's a capital outlay test performed, and we could have a call with our auditors to go through it, but I just think there's a little disconnect accounting language-wise, because not everything in the capital projects has to be capitalized. We do a test during the audit to determine if items are capitalizable or not, and that's written in the financial statements at $5,000 threshold. So I know we don't, Jerry doesn't spend that capital money. I know you're saying on operations, like repairs. He used it for
replacement equipment,
$18,000 of irrigation work, a $25,000 seal coating, $6,500 for hole-in-the-wall repairs. So they're large one-time expenses. They're not capital items. They're not repair items. Like he's not getting, like fire alarm service done with the
or fixing a singular
extending the longevity of our capital assets.
But when you say you're testing that in audit, you're doing this pretty much after the books have closed. Like, I'm asking the town to have what I would consider, in my career experience, a capital budget process that has a defined asset limit, and projects are repairs and maintenance for things that are below that threshold, and if they are above that threshold, they are brought forward as defined projects that we can figure out if we pay cash for them, if we bond them. But it doesn't make sense to me to have $50,000 in park improvement plans being wrapped into a 5-year bond.
I fully agree that should be paid for in cash. I just couldn't get the boards to agree to that. That should definitely be a cash item.
I see it in the cash column here.
No.
I'm looking at
It's
the
in
one
the
I have,
5-year
it's in the
bond.
5-year. Maybe I don't have the right maybe things changed, but in the one that was handed out.
No, it's a 5-year bond.
Suggested how you're looking at?
I have it in paid cash. That's what I have it.
No.
Well, my sheet has it at 5-year bond. The point is, I would hope that we would, across all departments, have a defined capital threshold, and that projects are brought that are capital, and not just park improvement plan, where we don't know what is going to be improved.
All right, is there a motion?
So I would like to make a motion that we eliminate the $50,000 park improvement plan, and we, from the capital budget, and that we increase the culture and recreation park maintenance budget by $50,000 in operations.
I'll second.
I'm just gonna need two different motions.
I need two different
Yeah, you need one
motions.
motion to reduce and one motion to increase.
Okay, I'll try again. I would like to make the motion to remove the park improvement plan for $50,000 from the capital improvement plan, basically taking it to zero.
Is there a second to that
Second.
motion?
Second.
Thank you, Sandra. Moved and seconded to reduce the park improvement plan of the capital projects budget proposal from 50,000 to zero. Any discussion? All those in favor of reducing it from 50,000 to zero, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
I'm thinking that's 4 to 1. It carries.
Kim, I think the account number that you would be referring to is 1054503 Park and Field Maintenance.
One more time.
1054503, and the object is 54303 Park and Field Maintenance.
54030.
54303.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So-
I see it. So the organization is 1054503. The object is 54303 again. And right now that budget is approved at 52,500, not approved, excuse me, proposed. And we're proposing increasing it from 52.5 to 102.5. Have I got that right? Is there a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to increase the operating budget for 1054503, 54303 by 50,000.
And
Gotta get
therefore,
full.
Second.
102,500. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thanks, Jerry. Next item I have up is the high school HVAC component recapitalization. Right now, the Capital Improvements Committee had recommended $300,000. I'm going to propose that we half that to $150,000. If you look at the amount that they're requesting over time, there isn't really an explanation of, I think they're just trying to have a fund that they can use on an ongoing basis to support HVAC. And I don't know that we have to fund it to the level that is requested. So I'm going to entertain a motion that we cut that 300 to 150.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded to cut back the high school HVAC component recapitalization from 300 to 150. Discussion, please.
Yes, again, as a layman, I'm not sure what the component recapitalization is defined as, and I have a feeling that the HVAC items came in as the pandemic had run through the area and that air quality was a concern. But I don't understand what the recapitalization of the component is. If someone could explain that to me, please,
Kevin, do you know anything about it?
I do not. It's Board of Ed capital project.
Okay.
Anybody from Capital Projects Committee know anything about the discussion on this?
So it is in our book, go ahead.
No, you could go.
So in our Board of Ed book, under tab 6 on page 2, this is HVAC for North Gym was installed during spring/summer 2025. several major components are slated for replacement spring/summer calendar year '26.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact conversation, but I do recall when we were going through each of these were, the communication we received from Board of Ed was these were must do. I know we did, like we cut moisture mitigation, the roof, which are also seemed like a dire situation. So I don't want to speak for Board of Ed, that I don't think anyone's here.
Yep.
But I do remember it was communicated that it was a necessary for the upkeep of the buildings.
Right. Component recapitalization.
So I guess the only thing I'll say again in my experience is usually when you are dealing with major HVAC work, there is a specific plan. And while I appreciate that we have forms that have to be filled out, there is not necessarily a reference to a specific plan. So when I see a number of 300,000 or 350, like we don't know if that's really the number because there aren't quotes. Maybe someone has the quotes, but there aren't quotes. We're not sure where the bid process is at. We're not sure of the components being replaced. And I think just to put these big round numbers, given where we're at with capital in our town, doesn't seem like a good stewardship move. Like I would think the expectation, particularly if some work was started and other work is continuing, they should have those detailed quotes. They should already know what the cost is going to be. I'm not seeing the details, and I don't know if that's in our purview, but it needs to be in somebody's purview.
Well, they're asking us for $300,000 without providing the detail of exactly what they intend. So I appreciate what you're saying, Ron, about in terms of they said it was important, but the details, the evidence of that importance are not provided. So any other discussion on this item?
We can treat it as we did one other item, that we do have reconciliation of sorts after the public presentation of the budget. So if the need is demonstrated concretely, the funds can always be restored if they were taken away. So
I think that's a reasonable approach myself. So if no further discussion, the motion on the table is to cut the East Lyme High School HVAC component recapitalization from $300,000 to $150,000. Barry and Sandy, you want to come on? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
That might be 7 now. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, so the motion carries. So in keeping with that exact theme, my next suggestion is the East Lyme Middle School HVAC recapitalization right now has a $350,000 amount, and I'm going to suggest that we make that also $150,000 and cut it by $200,000. Anybody want to entertain that motion?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to cut the East Lyme Middle School HVAC recapitalization from $350,000 to $150,000, a cut of $200,000. Discussion, please. Okay. You guys want to come on camera so we can have your votes?
Oh, can I just say, I think for this, it should be the same as Rich described, where if they come back with a plan and there's reconciliation.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that's a great point to raise. All those in favor of cutting the East Lyme Middle School HVAC recapitalization from $350,000 to $150,000, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5-1, I think the motion carries. Just voting by Zoom is a lot of fun. All right. Next, there is the HVAC IAQ inspections item of $24,120. I have to say I don't understand that one. Are we paying for inspections of existing HVAC equipment? And is there any detail that's provided about why that is needed?
So there is in the book, but I had raised this, that I actually don't think the inspections are capitalizable, if that's a word. Like, I don't think we can capitalize inspections. Inspections should be in the operating budget.
Okay. So do you have a motion in mind?
If I knew the operating,
Let me get the accountant for the Board of Ed line.
yes, please.
Okay, 1 second.
So are you saying you wish to restore that 24,000 into the Board of Ed budget? Or, because we've already made a very big motion to cut the Board of Ed, and do you want to revisit Board of Ed tonight? I sort of don't. I'd rather we wait until we get Board of Ed input at the public meeting and decide.
Well, I think we should cut this, and then, I mean, 24,000 isn't a lot. I think we need to ask them
To justify it.
to justify
And so,
it in their operating
and
budget.
if we do decide to support it, it probably should be in their general budget and not here, it sounds like you're saying.
Yes.
If-
Two motions.
But we're only gonna make one motion tonight.
Well, I'll
and
wait
then-
till the motions are made and then
Sorry?
have the motions been made or
No
are we
Not
just
yet.
motion's been made
discussing
yet.
it?
We're
We're
just
still
talking about
chatting.
making motions.
So I think I'm only gonna make one tonight,
Okay.
and I don't need the number to make that.
Gotcha.
So, my motion is to eliminate the HVAC IAQ inspections under the Board of Education district-wide budget, taking the $24,120 to zero.
Which it sounds like inspections can't be capitalizable. All right, any discussion of this item? Oh, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of this item?
Yes.
Rich?
If it gets to a matter of it getting moved to the operating budget, there was a savings of $420,000 or thereabouts from insurance costs that were lower than what was presented in the budget that we had received. And that wasn't, I don't think it was fully taken into account when we reduced the Board of Ed budget. And so it seems as though this 24,000 should be able to be absorbed. And either way this goes, if we get a justification for it to stay in this, even though it is not capitalizable, but some things are defined different ways by different people, and systems change, it was a catch capital, so it wouldn't affect our debt balance. So again, like the other things that we've cut from the education budget and capital, if they can justify this, they can either leave it in the capital or they can put it into the operating, but I don't think we need to move it.
Okay. Any other discussion of removing the $24,120 from the capital projects budget proposal? You guys want to come on sound up there? Barry and Sandra?
Aye.
Great. All those in favor of this reduction of $24,120 for the HVAC IAQ inspections, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
6-0, thank you. All right, it carries. And the last item I have to discuss is the technology and other capital items in Board of Ed. The CIP committee has recommended $499,000, and I'm gonna recommend that we reduce that by $99,000 and retain $400,000. This is will allow them to reduce the breadth and magnitude of some of these technology items. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Barry. Moved and seconded to reduce technology and other capital items at the Board of Ed from $499,000 down to $400,000, and reducing it by $99,000. Discussion, please.
Yeah, so I'm concerned. I believe we heard from the Board of Ed that they're on a 3-year replacement cycle. My memory's correct. Is it 5th grade and 8th grade? There's new laptops. There was some cadence to that. And I think if that's the case, we should not be putting our technology, our Board of Ed technology, in a 5-year bond, because it to me didn't sound like they are using the devices for 5 years. It sounded like there was maybe some shuffling of devices, but their concept was that it was every 3 years. So if that's the case, we're just compounding our capital problem by having that budget item in the 5-year bonding. I think we're going to need to find a way to move it to cash capital if they're going to be on something less than 5 years.
Okay.
I would like Kevin's opinion on that, though.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I agree. Those things.
Except the capital definition.
No, I agree with you that too.
All right. Go ahead, Rich.
Yes. I was fortunate enough to be on the board when this item was implemented during the pandemic. And I have not fully understood this item for the 6 years that I've been on the board. My understanding is that it's a lease program for their computers. And anybody from the public, please correct me about this if I am in error. But my understanding is that the elementary school kids get an iPad to start with. The middle school kids, so they would have it for 4 years. The middle school kids get a Chrome device for 3 years. And then the high schoolers get a laptop for 4 years. And that is their cycle. They try to, what's salvageable, bring back for the incoming 5th graders, for the incoming kindergartners, for the incoming freshmen. I find it interesting that our town IT is currently on a 6-year refresh, sometimes going to 7. And I would think that for school use, that the life cycle could match what the town's is. And how that would be adjusted financially, I don't know. But, you know, if you're up for taking 99,000 away with this motion, that's fine. If you want to take more, I'm fine with that.
I'd like to take more.
But it may be something where we really need to look under the hood, find out the nuts and bolts about this plan and how the technology is being used. The other thing is it has and other capital items. I don't have my Board of Ed budget book with me, so I don't know if they describe this line and what the other capital items might be.
It,
Might be servers.
It says this project funds the annual recapitalization of various technology needs throughout the district, including major hardware, software, and licensing needs.
See, and that to me is a little perplexing because they have a very large line item for software in the operating budget. And so in my mind, if you have a large line item in one place, it shouldn't be a line item in another place. Pick where you want it to go.
Just so board and people at home are aware, 2024 looks like the last time we leased things, and we moved over to cash capital / bonding. So we got rid of because we were paying, like you were talking about a 5-year program, we were leasing things on 5 years, paying interest on it, and in 2020 the interest rates started shooting up with COVID, so we were paying nothing. 2019 interest rate was like less than 1%, around 1%. It was great to lease things because you're paying less than 1% on it. As it jacked up and the interest rate shot up to 5% on those leases, now we're paying over $100,000 to lease things. So that's why we broke that lease model and went to cash capital. So just wanted to, so we stopped leasing. So the town hasn't leased in 2. This will be our 3rd year not leasing. So we're dwindling down those lease payments. So just wanted to, for the record, so everyone knows.
Thank you. That helps.
So I think, what you're describing, Rich, sounds like ideal world to me, that if kids treated their equipment with the same respect that adults do, maybe they would last as long. I mean, I've only had 2 kids, but I can tell you that they don't last as long as my stuff. So maybe 7 years is asking a lot of a kindergartner. But, so the issue on the table is to cut the $499,000 budget item down to 400, cut it by 99. Are we happy to vote on that, or do we want to entertain going to a different number?
I would like to entertain going to a different number.
So you'd have to withdraw your motion, and Sandy would have to withdraw hers, and you'd have to make a different number.
I will withdraw my motion.
As will I.
Great. You want to make another motion?
Sure. I would like to make a motion to reduce the Board of Education district-wide technology and other capital items line item from $499,000 to $350,000.
I'll second.
So you're cutting $149,000. Moved and seconded. Discussion.
I agree with both Rich and Kim's point. I think this is an area that I would like more information. I remember when I first saw the number, it gave me pause. It seems like a huge number. And I'd be willing to entertain a cut of the first proposed. I think without knowing more, I guess I'm concerned that no one's here from Board of Ed, and without knowing, and I do remember discussing this line, and that it is just for the laptops, but I could be wrong, so I don't want to. But I do want to second their comments that I would love the Board of Ed to explore how we can reduce the costs here.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Again, with the caveat that
We might restore after we get more information.
Yeah.
Right? Did you want to say something, Kim?
No, I'm good with that caveat.
All right, so the motion on the table is to reduce the $499,000 line item in capital projects down to $350,000, a reduction of $149,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. 6-0. Thank you. All right, so those were the suggestions that I had within the capital projects budget proposal. Does anybody have anything else within this set of items?
Yes. I think it's more of a refresh for my memory. So assessment reeval reserve for $75,000 in the 5-year bond column is where I had that.
I have it in cash.
So, Stan Vitagliano sitting behind me? Okay, I got it, D. So what this is for is every 5 years, the town goes through revaluation, and we set aside a little every year so we can pay for the reval, because it is approximately $200,000 or $250,000 at a tranche. So you don't really want to, either you bond for it, right, or you put it away 1 year. We put a little away. I did a breakdown of how much we have sitting, and based on the contract we signed, we can eliminate that entire amount from this year, so long as the board knows next year we need to reestablish it.
Beautiful.
But we can eliminate that entire amount this year.
Aren't you so glad I asked?
I totally forgot. Pull that up here.
Do you want to make a motion?
Oh, yes. I was so excited. So I will make a motion that under the general government capital improvement project category, assessment reeval reserve will go from 75,000 to 0, with the understanding that we will reinstitute in fiscal 28.
Second.
Moved and seconded twice to cut assessment reval reserve in the general government part of the capital projects budget from 75,000 to 0. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0, I'm pretty sure. Any other items within capital projects?
Yes. So under information technology, this is an area where we really didn't have any discussion or feedback when it was called for. And I think for me, I was trying to wrap my head around what was presented. Similar to, I think, what happened with the Board of Ed capital, I would like to call the question on the public safety server replacement at $366,000. That's a significant dollar amount, and I do feel as though it needs to be explained in much greater detail. And I'm wondering if we can.
And here, you can talk about it.
Yeah, I would like to understand more.
So the server replacement project at the PSB, that will cover all of public safety, so police, dispatch, fire, and we still retain some of the EMS server equipment as well. These servers were purchased and put in place when they moved into the new building. So I believe that was for just over 5 years now in January. We just extended the warranties on one of those. We were able to stretch it out 1 more year. That'll get us to December of this year. After that time, they'll no longer be under warranty. So the plan is to start the replacement in the summer, get it complete by the time that we get to December, and then we can retire those old servers. The old equipment will be reused. It's going to go into a lab setup so that we can test new applications, things like that. It just won't host any mission-critical infrastructure. So that runs all the software for dispatch, all the background file servers, domain controller servers, authentication servers, everything for everyone in that building, but more importantly, it runs NextGen. So NextGen is the software that dispatch and police uses. So it's what displays in their cars, it's what the dispatch looks at, it's how they get it's how they get everyone where they need to be and see where everyone is. So that replacement was based on a quote that we got at the end of the year with speculation that it will most likely increase by then. We had it requoted earlier this month, and it had gone up about $50,000 from when we quoted it in December, so we're getting on target. The idea is to come in under that number, but we were advised that it would be, it may go up to somewhere around that number. So that's why we gave that high of a number. I don't expect to use the full amount, but there's potential that it will be there.
So I think my struggle is, in your presentation, you had called out that you support 45 physical and virtual servers. And I want to say, though, that you confirmed that there were like 30 virtual servers, correct? So when you have 30 VMs, how many physical servers are those sitting on?
So that would be, right now, there's 4 virtual servers. I'm sorry, 5 virtual servers there, and there's 4 or 5 here. I'd have to do a double check. So it's 9 or 10 physical boxes.
9 or 10 physical boxes.
Yeah, so this replacement would be 2 new physical servers at Public Safety, as well as shared storage for both of them.
So you're buying 2 new physical servers, and you're buying a storage area network?
Correct. As well as the supporting hardware, switches, and things that go along with that.
And that's $366,000.
Correct. As of right now, it's not 366. It's in the 200 range somewhere, but we're speculating.
Okay. And you have detailed quotes?
We do. I can provide those too if you want.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You want to make a motion to reduce the 366 to a number that maybe is more consistent with what he's aware of already? You don't have to
Yes.
make all the motions.
No, I mean, not having seen those quotes, and I'm hoping that there are multiple bidders that are competitive bids for that hardware. I'd like to make a motion that we reduce the general government IT capital request for the public safety server replacement from $366,000 to $325,000.
That's softer than I thought you were going to go. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
So the motion has been moved and seconded to go from 366 to 325,000 for public safety building server replacement. Discussion, please.
I'm happy if someone wants to make the number lower. It's, I think this is a challenging area for the town.
Okay, moved and seconded to reduce the public safety building server from 366,000 to 325,000, a reduction of 31,000, right? No, 41,000, excuse me, 41,000, forgive me. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1. Any other items within capital projects? Kevin, can you give us a check where we are with capital projects,
Yes, sir.
please?
Okay, so we do have some caveats. I have a highlight for town hall cameras. I left that one highlighted just so we can get a quote there for that. Highlight down for Plant Stam. Right, confirm we didn't touch that Plant Stam one, right? Okay, just want to confirm. Left the bleachers highlighted. Okay, so over here, and I highlighted Board of Ed Technology so we can see where we come, where we are with the final number, and well, that'll do. So, okay. So right now, cash capital, 687,500, 5.9, make sure my numbers match, 5,980,600,000 we have for total capital projects. If we come down here, we have $981,000 for cash capital request. this is where so if we're done kind of vetting the projects, this is where we can kind of go to phase 2 of this spreadsheet and look at where we want to move them for versus bonding versus paid in cash, right? So like Kim brought up the question about technology. So right now it's at a 5-year bond. If you want to just say, okay, let's see what it looks like over here, we can start moving things. And that doesn't have to be really...
Is that a vote we need to take here? I don't think we need to decide where you place it.
No, but what it
that's
does do, it ties back to the cash capital number. So current cash capital, this would reduce the general fund by approximately $70,000, 74,000, 73,500. Because right now we have budgeted $1,055,000, right? So if we I'm on top of it today. $49 I was off. But, so we can reduce, or you can have me move $70,000 worth of projects to keep us where we are. So it's kind of at the direction of
To keep us to cash capital.
to keep us in that $1,055,000 range where we were, or all right, Dan. No one email me right now. So right now, like I said, we're at 981,000. So
And Kevin,
Yep.
can I ask, if you scroll up, do we have the ballistic vests and the dispatcher chairs?
Boy, I hope so.
Did we move those to
it should be in cash
operations?
capital.
They're in cash.
Oh, we can with a vote, we can move those over. So
I
2
mean, I
votes.
don't,
They're
do those, I don't,
cash. No, they're in cash capital.
they're on cash capital,
Let me
but
just-
I don't know that they really meet the capital justification or the capital definition.
Okay with that. Hills,
mean,
hills for me to die on.
Yeah,
All right, so bottom line is we've reduced the capital projects budget from 6.999 million to 5.980 million. And are you saying that we need to vote here about whether we move things from a bond column to a cash column, or vice versa, or is that decisions you can make based on the...
I mean, so just off the top, looking at the patrol rifles and regional tactical for 30 and 25, that should be shuffled over to paid in cash now.
But
That
do
would
we
free
need to
up-
vote on it, is my question
I
to you.
don't think you need to vote on that, but I would vote on the capital projects as a list. But that wouldn't be tonight. That would be, we've got a few more meetings until then. What I would, my recommendation would be just to let me slide that over, see where we are, and then we adjust the general government line, that cash capital line, to what we do
We
here.
are expecting feedback from Board of Ed as well as IT about the cameras and Joe about the plant dam rebuild bidding. So I think we can,
and the servers, and the town servers.
yes.
The PSP
Well,
servers, right?
we've already made it, yes, it's
Okay,
possible
so
we'll
that's
get
the
a different number from the town servers.
Yep.
So I think that we can probably go with this for the time being and move on to other items.
I'm gonna highlight these two, because these really should be sliding over.
Kevin, you good with that?
Yeah, I did highlight those two, just because they're under, ideally, like I said, I go lowest first, so those two are under 50,000. They really should be shuffled over, those are the first ones moved over, just to try to get us to fit into that $1,055,000. So, we talked on Wednesday's meeting, but really, those should be slid over at minimum, and then we look at the next lowest. I see the sidewalk construction, 50,000, that could probably, depending on what we allocate for that cash capital line, see what projects we can slide over. Does that make sense to the
Yeah.
board?
I think we have to do something about the IT, the computers for town and school, and getting those to cash if we're gonna,
Love
All
that.
right, well,
so
Okay,
for future.
I want to get through police and fire
Yep.
tonight, ideally. So, but before we do, there's been people waiting that came to speak to us. And I want to deal with some of the items that got brought up from audience members. The biggest ticket item is Bob Curry, the town treasurer, has recommended that we restore the $250,000 that we took out of insurance funding.
Pension.
Thank you, pension funding. because we still have to record 100% of that expense, and this will reduce our bond rating for getting bonds of some of our items that we need to fund. So I would entertain a motion that we restore that $250,000 cut in the pension that we voted on the last time.
So
Is there
moved.
a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we restore the $250,000 to the pension. Discussion, please.
Yeah, so I think we approved that cut with the caveat that we needed to gather information from the actuaries. We needed to understand the picture more broadly. What I am uncomfortable with, and I appreciate we have subject matter experts in the town, but the actuarial calculation and that firm is the one that drives a lot of that. So I would really like to get something in writing, not just public testimony, but something in writing that lays out that decision making, because I don't know that anyone is quite clear on the gravity of the town's budget. And we're at a point where we can't keep increasing our mill rate, and we have to get serious about cuts. I don't know if cutting how we're funding the pension is the right move, but there's only so many levers that have big dollars associated with them, and we have to go after these things. So there needs to be something in writing from the most knowledgeable, appropriate people, such as actuaries, in my opinion.
Is that something, Kevin, that we can obtain before we have our final deliberations meeting?
I'm working on it. Well, yeah, he's usually pretty responsive, so we should definitely have something, definitely by the public hearing, but maybe even by Wednesday.
Okay. Any other discussion on restoring this $250,000 to, if I've got this right, I think it's within retirement and benefits, which is 1054142, and it's object number 59120. Any other discussion? Okay, we're going to vote. Barry and Sandra? All those in favor of restoring the $250,000 that we cut at our last meeting to the pension and retirement budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
I've got 2-2. Those abstaining?
Aye,
You're abstaining.
I'm
Barry,
abstaining.
what are you?
We need more information.
I was in favor, I was an aye.
So we're 3, 2, 1. I think the motion carries.
Then you don't need to do the work, Kevin.
I'll still get it for us so we have it, just so we can see next year, and then during the public hearing, I'm sure it'll come back up.
It should.
All right, thank you, everybody. Let's go to
Oh, I was just saying bless you, sorry.
Let's go to the tax collector who needs the conferences put back in. And that is, anybody finds it before me, please tell me where it is. That is budget 1054135. And we had cut professional services, professional conferences and conventions. Right now it is $3,500. We zeroed it. I entertain a motion that we restore that $3,500.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Moved and seconded to restore the $3,500 for the tax collector's office. This is item 53200 within that budget. You found it, Kevin?
Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The assessor's office, there was nothing that we cut. We cut conferences there, and I know you're here tonight. We need, I guess, to restore that $2,900.
We never cut that. It was tabled.
We
The
tabled?
assessor's office was tabled for further investigation.
Oh, because we didn't know whether or not it was required for certification.
Correct.
Thank you for reminding me. We're comfortable with it going away, and do we need to, if it's tabled, do we need to do anything?
No.
We
Just
don't
let it be
do
tabled
anything.
forever.
No action.
Okay, cool. Then the next item was the registrar's office. That is 105-4149. And there is a suggestion that we restore the office supplies that we cut, which I believe is item 56100. I think we cut all $2,000.
Cut 1,000.
Cut 1,000. Thank you. Your notes are better than mine. Is there a motion to restore the $1,000 that we cut?
So moved.
It's moved. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Barry. Discussion?
I second.
I got you. Is there a discussion of restoring this $1,000?
Yeah, so from my perspective, we cut 1,000 because in the prior fiscal year, they spent 1,000. I just want to remind the board of that.
Yeah, I think the explanation that we heard was that this is ongoing supplies over the course of the year, and this year has multiple elections planned. You want to address this one more time?
Yes. Last year, we only had one referendum and one municipal election and only 14 days of early voting. This year, well, on this budget, we will have a primary, which will be somewhat contested. That's 7 extra days of early voting. Plus, this is a midterm year. We have higher turnout. We have to hire more staff. We use more supplies. The midterm will have 14 days of early voting. So compared to the last fiscal year, we will have an added 7 days of early voting, plus an increase, a much larger increase in turnout, which is why on even years in presidential and in midterm years, we spend more money. There are bigger elections. We have primaries.
Thank you. Any other discussion of this restoration of an additional $1,000? Barry and Sandra, we're going to vote. All those in favor of restoring the office supplies item 56100 within the Registrar of Voters from 1,000 to 2,000, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstain.
Did you vote?
I did, I said aye.
Cool. 501. The motion carries. Any other discussion within Register of Voters items? I think that we're good, right? Town Clerk. That is 105-4147. Tell me if we cut that 700, please, Kevin?
We did.
Okay. And we said we'd cut it and then we'd restore it if we found out that it was needed for certifications. And now we are finding it is needed for certifications. Entertain a motion that we restore that $700.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of restoring $700 to 1054147, object 53200, professional conferences for the town clerk. Please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Let's go to the Aging Commission, where I believe we cut the continuing education funds there.
Scott, did you want to, just before you jumped, town clerk, the tax collector, you also cut transport allowance for that conference. I don't know if you want to revisit that or not.
I'd like to know from the town clerk about that transport allowance.
Tax collector, sorry.
I'd like to know from the tax collector about that transport allowance because we weren't sure how it was being used. Please.
That's for transportation to school when a new employee comes in and is going to the tax collector classes. It is for our conferences that we have 4 times a year. We don't stay, there's a 3-day conference in the spring that we attend. We don't stay there. We commute back and forth to that. So because we try to save money by not staying at the conference overnight. So we commute back and forth.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, again, budget 1054135, item 55800, transportation allowance of $1,000 that we cut, right?
Yep.
Is there a motion to restore that $1,000?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to restore $1,000 to item 55800 within the tax collector budget. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
6-0, it carries. Thank you. Let's now go to the Aging Commission budget. And I was looking earlier. I cannot find the $12,500 that we cut for foot care. Was that within that budget or was that someplace else?
There's a separate budget.
The VNA.
VNA.
Can you tell me where that is, please?
So it should be right
immediately
before the Commission on Aging.
So it's 1054411 nursing services,
Correct.
and it's $12,000, and we cut it to 0.
Correct.
And the explanation we received from 2 people tonight is that this is not Medicare reimbursable because it's preventive, and it is also helping seniors to pay less than they would ordinarily have to pay. Is there any discussion or a motion anybody wants to make?
So moved.
You want to move to restore the full
To
12,000?
restore it, please. Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Dawn. Moved and seconded to restore the $12,000, item 55990, to allow for foot care services at the senior center. Discussion, please.
Yeah, so I think I was the one that moved the elimination of this from the budget. I want to remind the board that this service was provided, this is the story that was told to us. This was provided by the VNA of Southeastern Connecticut previously, which is Yale New Haven. They were providing that service. They stopped providing that service. I don't know that anyone has sought out Hartford Healthcare or any other healthcare providers that might be willing to provide that service. The fundamental issue I have, and I'm getting older, so I'm probably going to need foot care. But the problem that we have here is that it's foot care today. A year from now, it's going to be prescription medications. The year after that, it's going to be some other chronic condition. I don't think the town should be in the business of subsidizing healthcare costs for our citizens. There are private grants, there are large health systems that we could try partnering with. This, for me, is a slippery slope. I'm not saying that our seniors don't need foot care. I'm just really concerned that the town is creating a bias in this particular moment for foot care, and the very next time it's going to be some other healthcare need from some other segment of our town population, and we're going to have problems. So that is my position, that is my concern. I would hope that the interested parties could seek out other medical care providers that would take this on as a community service and not have the town bear the burden.
Further discussion? Rich?
I do not see this as a slippery slope. I see it as a service that a senior center should provide. I think in terms of saving costs for people in this situation, it's a very minuscule amount of our budget. And knowing our senior center and our Commission on Aging, they search for grants constantly. They obtain used furniture from the state to save money. There are no frills there. Their facilities are gravely lacking. There is not enough space. There is not enough renovation to accommodate developing new programs to help people. I think taking care of people's foot care is a very reasonable request, and I voted to eliminate it last time because I was told that Medicare would pick it up. Tonight, we learned from three folks that Medicare will not pick this up. And we also heard that when it wasn't getting picked up, the number of people getting that service dropped very low. And then when it is subsidized, the number increases. And I think it helps to maintain a quality of life for people moving towards the end of their life.
Anything you want to add?
Yes, I'm Kristen. I'm the director of the Senior Center. So there's just a couple of things. So that has been in the budget for about 40 years. It was in the budget before Kathy Wilson, the old director, even came on. And I did apply for a grant, and if we do get the grant, it would be about $6,000. And we would like to, charge folks $10 because that's what we used to. And so that would bring back, we're thinking, almost $3,000. So really, it's only $3,000 if we get the grant. So surrounding towns do have it. Waterford, Norwich, Plainfield. And again, it's just quality of life for these folks. And again, we've had it for this many years. And our numbers did drop immensely when we had to start charging the $45.35. I mean, if they go to get a pedicure to get their toenails cut, it could be like $85 for these people. They can't afford. So we're hoping to get the grant, and we're hoping that, and I understand the budget, the crunches, and I appreciate it, all of the hard work that you're putting in, but I just need to fight for my seniors, and I'm hoping that you do keep it in the budget, and I'm hoping I get this grant.
Is there a sense that by deciding to seek foot care and pay the $10 fee, that the seniors are then participating in other programs because they're on premises?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That feels like an advantage to me also.
It is an advantage.
Any other discussion of this item?
Just one thing, Rich, Scott, when I was going through the budget, I looked through the annual reports of all the town agencies, and I have to compliment the Senior Center for having one of the most productive years of service to its clientele. The work that they do is absolutely unbelievable, and their annual report basically outpaced almost any other annual report of any agency in town. So I'm all for supporting them for the services they provide.
Thank you. And I have to say, it's the staff. We have amazing staff, and we also have 60 volunteers, over 60 volunteers that make the senior center what it is. We couldn't do it without. So if we had to pay those people, that would drive the budget up even more. But again, the staff, the drivers, the staff in the office, we have volunteers that volunteer for teaching classes, drawing and guitar jam, and just it's really amazing. We really do, so I thank you for that.
Any other discussion on this item?
I do have one thing to say. I find it hard to serve on this board when we don't get the facts. So the conversation at the last meeting was that this service was being lost because the VNA stopped providing the service. And you were saying that the service has been in place and the town has had this in the budget for 40 years. At some point, we have to figure out how to get the facts so that we don't have all of these churns on decision-making, because it is a struggle.
I agree. It's an imperfect system, and I think that we're doing the best we can. I appreciate her being here tonight to explain the details that maybe we didn't have last time. All those in favor of restoring the $12,000 to the Commission on Aging? It is item 55990. Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. I think it was 6-0. Was there an abstention? 6-0. Thanks. All right. We need to thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Wait, there's one more item. The Commission on Aging for their training.
Oh, yeah, there was...
53200.
Yes, I saw it. I had it in my notes, too, and I just skipped right over it. You're right. There was $1,370 that we cut, right? That is item number 53200 from the 1054417 budget. Anybody want to make a motion about something?
I would like to make a motion to return those funds for training to the Commission on Aging.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second it.
Great. Moved and seconded to return the $1,370 cut the last time to the conferences and continuing education budget of the Commission on Aging. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Rich, for that pickup. Okay, if we go in order.
Scott,
Yes.
do we want to address the other item that we had tabled last time? I forget what it's titled, but it's the town donations to the nonprofits, services to community.
Do we have the additional
Kevin was
information?
going to
Do we have
provide
the additional
information.
Kevin?
Who made the deadlines?
Yeah.
If not, we have another meeting on Wednesday night. We could talk about it. If you don't have all those details now, we could talk about it on Wednesday night.
Mr. Chairman, I know we have to get to the big ticket items, but there were two items that were brought forward by Public Works as potential cost savings to our budget. One was to choose not to paint the 37 miles of double yellow lines. And it could be a savings of $25,000 to $30,000 per year. I would like to make a motion to,
Where is that?
It was a handout that
it was a
Joe
separate
gave.
handout.
Right, but I'm just looking for where it is in the budget that. It's in the road, it's in. Okay,
54305.
and where is the
54305.
public works budget anyway?
1054303, Scott, after public safety.
10543.
It's after, right after police, fire, four
Okay, I
twos.
see it, thank you. And that's the, say the object number again, please, I'm sorry.
54305.
Road reconstruction, it's a $190,000 budget right now. That's a $6,000 increase from last year. And,
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to reduce the frequency and the number of miles that are painted each year, taking taking a $15,000 reduction in 54305.
so that would bring the 190 to 175,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce the Public Works budget for road reconstruction, 54305, from 190,000 to 175,000. Discussion, please?
Yes, I'm against this option. I know that Joe's always trying to save us money by finding ways to take money from his budget. But the double yellow lines, if they aren't painted, it gets hard to see when it's raining at night. And in addition to the double yellow lines, it's also the stop bars. And I think from the number of accidents that the police reported during the presentation that they've addressed each year, that for me, the road safety is worth the $15,000 that wants to be cut.
So I'm not looking to eliminate it fully, just reduce it.
Yeah.
I understand your point.
That's why I mentioned 15,000. That was your motion.
Yep.
Any other discussion of this item? So the motion on the floor is to reduce road construction item by $15,000, road reconstruction. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Those
Nay.
opposed?
Nay.
Nay, nay.
1, 2, 3, 4 against. 2 in favor, 4 against. The motion fails.
Okay, I have one more. I'd like to move that we stop repainting the no parking designations at the crosswalk on Main Street, per Joe's recommendation.
Is that also a road reconstruction
Yes,
budget item?
in, 54305.
Okay. We just voted on a,
$3,000.
you want to reduce road reconstruction by $3,000 now?
Yes,
Okay, so it would go from 190 to 187,000.
sounds great.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce road reconstruction 54305 from 190 to $187,000. Discussion, please.
Yes. Those crosswalks are important to be very visible, especially during the summer season when we have a lot of seasonal residents here, a lot of seasonal residents that may not respect the crosswalk laws that we have in the state and in our locality. To me, $3,000 is not a big ticket item, and if we're looking for savings, I am not in favor of eliminating $3,000 to decrease our safety on Main Street.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the question is reducing the road reconstruction by $3,000 from 190 to 187,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Oh, wait. I'm sorry.
You're a no.
Oh, I thought we had
I'm
it.
an A. Start again, please. Sorry about that.
Am I allowed to start again? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 1, 2, 3. You're up. All those opposed?
Nay.
No, and Barry?
Nay, nay, nay. Opposed.
It's 3 to 3. Motion fails. All right. Let's get to the police. The police is 105-4201. There is a public safety accreditation item of $25,000. I'm told there is some flexibility in that number based on the actual accreditation needs of the department. So I propose reducing that 25,000 to 21,000. And I need someone to move that if they wish to.
Excuse me, Scott, where are you?
I'm in the police budget 105-4201, and I'm on item 53028, public safety accreditation. 25,000 is the proposed
Oh, okay.
budget.
Gotcha.
I'm proposing reducing that 25 to 21. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion, please.
Yeah, I would be in favor in reducing that further because the fiscal 25 actual expense was only 10,000.
You want to amend my motion?
I would like to amend your
I
motion.
didn't make it.
Oh, I think it was mine.
Oh, whose is it?
It was my motion.
So
Oh,
you can either withdraw it or you can amend it.
I'm going to amend it to reduce 53028 by $10,000.
So 25,000 would become 15,000 is your amendment proposed. Is there a second to your amendment?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce, to amend the previous motion to 15,000 from 25,000 for public safety accreditation because only 10,000 was spent last year. Any discussion? Please.
Thank you. The only reason why 10,000 was spent that fiscal year was because for 70% of that fiscal year, there was a spending freeze in place. Much of the spending needs from that fiscal year was pushed into this fiscal year with a reduction of just $4,000 for next fiscal year. It would be very tight. So to reduce it further to the 15,000, I believe the motion is, that would be very difficult for us to do to stay within those parameters. So we would have spent much more than $10,000 the previous fiscal year if the spending freeze was not in place.
What happens with the fact that we didn't spend it means the accreditation that we might have otherwise gotten didn't occur. And what did that mean?
That means those spending needs were pushed into this current fiscal year. So we're catching up on training, we're catching up on purchases and materials that were needed for the accreditation. Accreditation goes in a 3-year cycle. So we try to stay on pace for that 3-year evaluation. So spending $10,000 previous year puts us very tight this year. We were going to kick some needs over to next year. So a further reduction for next fiscal year puts us in a very bad position. If we lose accreditation through post, that's part of the police accountability bill. It's a state law that we have to hold that accreditation. So we would have to go over budget or find money somewhere else and make further cuts. But I just want to highlight the fact that the $10,000 in spending wasn't because we are inflating that line at all.
So Chief, is your assessment that you need the full 25, or can you cut to 20?
I spoke with the finance director, and we could make $20,000 work for next fiscal year with making some adjustments, but anything south of that would be very unrealistic.
All right, so the motion on the table is a $10,000 cut down to 15. Have I got that right?
Yes, I will amend my motion
Or you
to,
can withdraw it.
I'm just going to keep
'Cause
amending until we get it.
Right now, we've got a $4,000 motion on the table also, and you've amended. You can withdraw your amendment, and we'll be back to 4,000.
God bless Brooke.
I would like to amend to reduce it by 5,000.
Okay, so I think we have to vote, since you're,
I
we
can't
have
amend
an
twice.
amendment on the table, we have to vote.
I'll
Unless
withdraw
you
my
want to
amendment.
withdraw.
I will withdraw.
Thank you. Is there a withdrawal of the second? Whoever was?
I think, I can't.
Barry?
Withdraw it.
Thank you.
Withdraw it.
Okay, so now we're at a $4,000 reduction. That's the motion on the table. And you want to amend to make it a $5,000 reduction, if I got that right?
That's correct.
Okay, you got to say it.
I would like to make a motion to reduce the testing and accreditation line item 53028 by $5,000, ending it at 20,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to reduce the public accreditation item within the police budget from 25,000 to 20,000. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
I'm an aye.
Okay, that's a 5, and there was a nay. Is there any abstentions? 5 to 1, the motion carries. Okay. Let's look at the police officer's budget, item 51635. If right now we have one police officer budgeted for potential start July 1st and one for January 1st, so it's about 1.5 police officers. If we were to defer them both to January 1st, there would be a savings. I believe, Kevin, you told me that could be as much as $33,769. Have I got that right?
Yep.
So I'm just putting that out as information. Do we want to retain the budget as is, or do we want to make any adjustments in the timing of the police officer hiring?
I'd like to make a motion to reduce the July 1 hire and maintain the hire at January 1.
So that's a
Reduction of one
that's a
police
larger
officer.
reduction than I stated.
Yes.
So you're moving to remove one police officer from the proposed budget where 1.5 police officers are newly proposed.
Yes.
Is there a second to your motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce the $2,610,618 in item 51635 from 1.5 police officers down to 0.5.
So the reduction would be 67,538.
67,538. Thank you for that math. Discussion, please.
I'd like to understand how the proposed reduction would impact overtime. I don't know if the chief could address that.
Thank you. So as of this morning, we've expended approximately 83% of our overtime budget. So we're about 8% over budget with a few months left, with about a quarter of the year left, with 3 months left. So we would be spending at least that much more. So, 8% of the $500,000, $40,000 over, in addition to an additional saving $70,000, but spending an additional $40,000 for net savings of the rest. We would not be able to put an officer in the school system on this upcoming school year for sure. We definitely would not be able to do that. And potentially, depending on the hiring cycle, we may not be able to start the following school year with a school resource officer in the school. So for net savings of $30,000, there's some more implications.
So net savings of 30,000 in overtime?
No, overall. So it'd be an
Overall.
additional $40,000 in overtime if that one position was reduced, but the $70,000 in salary would be saved.
Okay, so in terms of SRO officer, Officer Hull had been the SRO officer until he retired, and then after his retirement, he was hired by the schools as their safety director. His salary when he was the SRO, was that covered by the police department or by the Board of Education?
The police
Paying
department.
that? Oh, okay. Okay. And so once he retired, that SRO position disappeared and the school picked up their own resource officer of sorts, or I'm confused where that position went.
He currently fills a role that was budgeted in the Board of Education budget. When he retired from the police department, a school resource officer, an SRO replacement was not assigned to the school. For the past 6 months to a year, we were down 4 to 5 police
Right.
positions. We're currently full staff on paper. However, we're short staffing on the road with 2 officers away for military leave, 2 officers that are in the police academy, and 2 officers who are certified officers who are very recently hired. With the anticipation of consideration for 4 new positions, which was my initial request, we were able to guarantee an SRO this September. With the 2 new positions that's currently being considered now, there's a good likelihood, depending on who we hire in July, there's a high chance that we'd be able to have an SRO assigned to the school in September. Certainly not a guarantee, but with the reduction of that 1 full-time police position, we won't be able to put an SRO in the school this September.
Okay, so in terms of the other community needs, your priority, if you got the 1.5 officers, would be to have one of those positions be an SRO officer?
Not necessarily, no. Ideally, yes, it's a high priority, but it's not, like I said, it's not a guarantee. It depends what happens with our 2 military officers who are deployed right now.
Right.
If both return prior to the start of the school year, becomes much more likely that September we'll be able to dedicate 1 position to the school.
Okay, thank you. I have a question about the chart that you had presented to us after Kim's question about relationship of police officers to crime rate. And it looked like, okay, we were on the left side, which I'm not sure if it's good or bad. You know, it might mean we have a very low crime rate or, whatever. But it seemed as though East Lyme and Waterford were neck and neck in terms of their bars. One was .17 and one was .18. And if I recall, Waterford has significantly more officers than we do.
Right, so that was a relation between the crime rate and the number of officers. So it was scaled. It didn't mean that East Lyme had the second least amount of crime on that chart. Just meant that per crime rate, that's how many officers we had. It was just a way to show relation to the crime rate. I believe that was the question I was asked in the previous meeting.
Okay, so between Waterford and East Lyme, what's the comparison of crime rate roughly?
I'd have to reference my graph, but I believe you somewhat answered the question if that was accurate. So if they were similar and they have twice as many officers, then their crime rate would be twice as high.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, yep. Okay.
Any other questions for the chief?
Scott, I have just a couple of questions. Chief, when you talk about the schools, you used an acronym SRO. Is that different from an armed resource officer?
SRO stands for School Resource Officer. So that's the title for the position of a certified police officer who works for the police department who would be assigned to the school.
Would those officers be armed?
Yes, all police officers are armed.
Okay, so they would become armed resource officers.
I'll continue to call them school resource officers.
Okay.
Just not to be confused, some school models armed their security officers. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, but if a police officer's in the school, we call them an SRO.
I'm just referring to, I've been trying to follow this, and it's a very good research study conducted by the Journal of American Medical Association that compared schools with or without armed resource officers, and they found that there was no difference between the number of shootings that occurred in armed resource officers present or no armed resource officers present. In fact, when an armed resource officer was present, there was a greater number of killings than when there was no armed resource officer present. And that instead of putting, the journal article recommended, instead of putting armed officers in schools, there was a greater return by basically hardening the schools as opposed to spending the money for officers inside the schools. So on this budget that you have presented, the 1.5 officers, is one of those positions destined to be what you call a school resource officer?
Yes, eventually. It's just there's too many variables to say when, but one of those would eventually be a school resource officer. If I could just not to make this meeting any longer, just to touch on that study you referred to. I didn't read that study, but there's a few different variables that you talked about. Number one, urban environments have a larger amount of school resource officers assigned to their schools. So when you make note of more violence, when there's armed security officers or school resource officers present, that could be one factor. With more violence on school grounds or near school grounds, depending on how those crimes are reported. And number two, the lack of crime is really one of the best indicators of success. So it's hard to measure a negative, but when it comes to deterring crime, whether it's throughout the community or in the schools, the lack of the need for those armed police officers, it's difficult to measure the level of success if nothing happens.
Also, the study also noted that in the presence of armed resource officers, the criminalization of student misbehavior increased for all the reasons that you just noted. But I was referring mostly to the fact that there's more killings involved with when armed resource officers were present than when they weren't present. But back to my question on staffing. So if we went with a motion to reduce to 2.5 officers, that would mean that it would be the placement of a resource officer in the school would not happen.
It would definitely not happen this school year. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Chief, I'm not sure you're at liberty to say, but has someone from the school district reached out to you to talk through their non-certified security officer staffing and or your proposed school resource officer?
I have not had a conversation with anybody from the Board of Education in several months.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So the question on the table is reducing the line item 51635 on police officers from where it is right now, 2,610,618, reducing it by 67,538, which would mean that the department only gets to hire one officer as of January 1, 2027. All those in favor of this motion? Can you guys come on, so we hear, I want to get this vote correct. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
No. The motion does not carry. Within the police budget, 1054201, are there other items anybody wants to discuss?
I'd like to give the chief another opportunity to talk through whether or not, with the preservation of the additional officers, if there's any opportunity to lower the overtime budget.
So you're referring to?
I'm sorry, 51645 overtime,
51645, the police overtime budget right now is
$500,000.
500,000, an increase of 140,000 from last year.
With a caveat, there was condensed 5 lines into 1 line. That's why that increase was so high. The only increase is the anticipated wage rates. It's no more overtime. So with the 1.5 funded positions being added, there won't be any reduction in overtime in that line. With the originally proposed 3 funded positions, which is really 4 positions, 2 full year, 2 half year, there is room for reducing the overtime line.
Make a motion.
No, because he's going to incur the overtime whether he has a budget for it or not.
Are there any other discussion of line items within the police budget? Let's move on to the dispatch budget. That is 1054202. I don't have anything. Does anybody?
Just make sure those people get their chairs.
So long as it's in the capital budget.
502.
You what?
Chairs.
There was $7,000 in the capital budget for chairs, which I think should be in the operating budget, so.
Any discussion of the dispatch budget? Thank you, Chief. We're going to go on to the East Lyme Fire Service budget, 1054205. The big item I wanted to discuss was right now there are 3 new firefighter hires planned on object 51619. And Kevin, can you remind me, within the current budget proposal, when are those 3 supposed to start?
July 1.
All 3 start July 1.
Correct.
So, what I heard
Scott, is that 19 or 20?
that is 51619.
Say that those as administrative.
620.
You're right, Barry.
620 firefight.
No, I have 51620 as the administrative assistant. What's right? What's right?
51619.
So I'm wrong and you guys are right?
Yeah, so
It's never happened before.
if you just want to switch the screen real quick, James. You can see there's a little snafu in our accounting side. And we originally had the admin wages booked to career firefighters, so we had to do this little transfer to move the money. So that's why you see it. There's a slight discrepancy. You see how we just
It's
transposed
really just
numbers
the
a little.
object number that was mislabeled, right?
Correct.
So
Yep.
it really is career firefighter wages, it's item 51620.
619. Sorry, guys.
That's what I
Just go with 619. please.
No, we had 620
Yep.
as firefighters. You had it
So
right.
you guys are
Okay,
right.
You were
so
on.
the
I've been right all along.
Yes.
Cool.
the
I like it that way.
$1,000,003 then is
It's
in
not for an
line
admin.
51619.
Correct.
Yep. All right. Anyway, back to the content of this item. There are 3 new firefighters all scheduled to start July 1st. What I heard the chief say to us last time is there's multiple sources from which they can be drawn, and then they go through an interview process. So I'm going to propose to retain the 3 firefighters, but to have a staggered start. So a July 1st start, an October 1st start, and a January 1st start. And that would allow for a reduction in the $1.393 million proposed budget of $59,098 by slowing the start of those salaries in that staggered sort of a way. That's my... Go ahead, Kevin.
Can I just run the crunch numbers real quick, just make sure it works? I'll just do this. 0.5.
The concept of the staggered start, I'm proposing because of the logistics of the hire, but not to actually cut firefighters. It saves us a little bit money. We could,
So, yeah, I think the reduction, if that's the, so you have 1 July 1, 1 October 1, 1 Jan 1,
yes.
okay? The cut would be for $59,098.
I got it right. Because you told us for the first time.
I just had to verify. Just wanted to
Thank you.
know.
All right. That's what the motion I am entertaining, is to reduce that budget by $59,098. Anybody want to move it?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Barry. So moved and seconded to reduce the $1.393,243 by $59,098. I can't do that math. Any discussion, please?
Yes, a concern that I have with full-time employees is that then they become a greater burden on our pensions. And our pensions, with the overtime that has been accrued by several departments, is going to be staggering looking down the future. And I'm just wondering if any of these 3 positions could be filled by a part-time firefighter.
So while the chief's walking up to talk about part-time versus full-time, just so, so the board's aware and the public's aware, our firefighters contract that we have with our firefighters, there's only 1 individual in the defined benefit program, which is the pension plan.
Oh, okay.
He's been here about 40 years. The rest of the individuals are all within our defined contribution program, which is a 401k, and that is only calculated on base earnings, not including of overtime at the moment.
Okay, so it's a moot point. Don't worry about it, Chief.
So I take the point. I guess my thinking in wanting to retain the 3 firefighters in the budget is, I think the chief made a compelling case when he spoke to us about response time and about how they were recently stretched during a event when they had multiple things going on at the same time, and they needed to bring in resources from other towns. And in fact, I think 2 of those other towns could not provide those resources. There's a long distance for firefighters to have to travel, depending on where the event is that they have to support. And so I feel as if the chief made a good case for hiring those 3 firefighters. I'd like to support that. I'm just trying to find a way to weave it into our budget and do a little bit less damage, and so that's why my proposal for the staggered starts.
Understood. I want to raise a point that Kim had brought up at the presentation that the chief had made, that it seemed, and correct me if I'm not remembering as it was stated, but that a large number of the calls are kind of more EMS than fire related. And I'm just wondering if our fire department and our ambulance service may be able to work out something that doesn't require a fire engine to go to the scene for an EMS. I don't know if it's probably law that the fire and the police have to go each time, but just was curious.
If I may provide a little bit of clarification, we have a service agreement with the East Lyme Ambulance Fund. Our firefighters will respond anytime it's an ALS, an advanced life support, in the event that there's the ambulances are tied up or they're out of town on a different transport. They're not automatically going to every single, but by virtue of the numbers, when 85% of your calls for service are EMS, and of those, another 70% of those are ALS, then I think by virtue of the numbers, and I'm using that just a soft number to just kind of illustrate the point.
Right.
The numbers are what dictating, the calls are what dictating when the firefighters respond. And as I think I demonstrated in the presentation, those calls are continually increasing. So we do, to your point, we do have an agreement with the Ambulance Association of what type of calls our firefighters respond to. And unfortunately, that's the number of calls that the firefighters respond to based on that, based on the need.
Right. In that case, does it cut too much into the turf of the ambulance service?
We don't consider, and I'd like to stop you at that point.
Okay.
We don't consider it a turf. I mean, we're dealing with people's lives at that point.
Right.
And I think, and I'll go back to on Thanksgiving Day, it was the fire department who got there first, who started life-saving measures. It was another, it's a matter of getting to the victim and providing the service, regardless of who's doing it.
Right. But where I'm leading to is, it seems as though the fire trucks are very expensive pieces of equipment, and I'm wondering if there might be other emergency vehicles, and I don't know if someone in a fire department can go through more of a EMS orientation of training to have like 2 levels within a fire department.
Every firefighter.
I'm just trying to think out of the box.
I understand
just
exactly your point, and that is something that we have explored. Every firefighter is trained to that level of an ambulance personnel. In a lot of cases, they are coming from another call that required a fire engine.
Right.
So, and again, it comes down to staffing, which I think, and I'm grateful for the consideration of what you folks are doing tonight.
Right.
Having the ability to have a dedicated staff that could respond only in a fly car or an R1 vehicle would be ideal, but we're not at that point yet.
Right. And then with this staffing proposal, you were still planning fire station number 2 to get reactivated for fire?
The target number for the last several years when I was asked to put together a plan has always been 18. And that's putting 2 firefighters in each station. This will give us the ability to half staff Station 2, and then in the off hour, bring them back to headquarters. Okay. That is the point. That's the whole point of this whole presentation is to get coverage in that area of town.
Right. Thank you.
Chief, while you're there, the thing that I'm struggling with the fire service budget is we're increasing in the number of firefighters, but you're also increasing in your overtime. And even the notes, when I read them, I guess from my perspective, really didn't justify how we could be adding staff and requiring another $195,000 in overtime.
The overtime, there's a lot of factors that went into it. Maybe it didn't get conveyed in the last meeting. Because of the schedule that the firefighters are on, there is automatically built-in overtime based on the collective bargaining agreement. When you factor in the Saturday is an automatic day. There are certain events that have occurred within the town that we have put extra staff on, and I'll use the construction as an example. With that construction, with the type of bridge work that they're doing, they literally will cut the town of East Lyme in half.
There's a physical barrier. So in order to meet the standards for our response without any increased delay, we're doubling up on those days that the bridge is shut. We don't get reimbursed for that. When you're looking at the standards that are requiring minimum number of firefighters to respond to a particular incident, and we're not meeting that, that's where some of this overtime is getting absorbed. Now, to your point, we're going to hire 3 more additional firefighters. That hasn't brought us to where we need to be in order to fully be staffed. The hope is that it's going to reduce some of that overtime. But the other factor that didn't get discussed is our military deployment and our person who's also out on FLSA. There are 18 holes, and I have 9 plugs. If there's a way to figure out how to do and fill all those holes without overtime, I'm all for it.
And I hope that there is a way to solve that problem, because adding $500,000 to the fire service budget, which is what is happening with the increased firefighters and the additional overtime, there has to be a different way to schedule. Like we can't, like, we're compounding our problem because you're adding staff, right? We're adding staff wages, we're adding staff benefits, and then we're adding overtime. Like, that is not a sustainable trajectory. And I know you're doing the best that you can, and I know we have construction issues in this town, but to add $500,000 to the fire service in one foul swoop, from my perspective, it's not, we can't do it. It's too much to add an increase of 38% in overtime and almost 38% in FTEs. There has to be a better way to staff, even if we would have to, and I know these are dirty words, but reopen the collective bargaining agreement to bring some rationale to the staffing pattern. We have to do things differently in this town. $500,000 is a significant lift from where we're at right now. It feels too much to me.
I'm wondering, is there a number within the overtime budget? Right now it's $705,899 that you would feel safe reducing it by, given we may give you 3 additional firefighters?
Kevin, you got the graph.
Well, point of order. I think we're on the line item where
We are, but I'm
for the staggered,
thinking,
and
you're right.
yeah.
I'm thinking we're contextualizing the discussion of the 3 firefighters by understanding.
I think part of that 705,000 also was as a result of absorbing your part-time line item as well. There was 232,000 in last year's part-time budget, and it's cut down to 18 to try to offset some of that overtime.
But you only spent 145, if I got that right.
Correct. But the 120,000 was transferred out to cover the overtime overage. So in 26, the year we're in currently, we're in a spending freeze. We spent $21,000 of part-time firefighter wages. We have $211,000 left. I'm projecting that $200,000 will be used to plug the approximate $300,000 overage in overtime on the fire service. So right now, overtime fire service line is $510,000. We're at $660 today. Right, so it's already over $150,000. So in next year's budget, in next budget we're going to, there's an $18,000 line for part-time wages. So there will not be a secondary tranche of.
So it sounds like the answer to my question is no. There is not a lower number that would satisfy overtime, even if we retain the 3 firefighters we're talking about hiring. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
We reduced the overtime last year along the same type of a dialogue, and I think the unfortunate, and I understand exactly what you're saying about the sustainability, but the town has gone for a period of many, many years without any increase in any staffing. The call volume alone should have substantiated an increase periodically over those years. We are at a point now where, there was a conversation earlier where somebody used the term risk management and risk, and what is the town willing to risk? The job that these guys are doing on a good day comes with risk. And the risk is only being exasperated by the fact that they are extremely understaffed. They're not only understaffed physically, but if you look at the standards, the national standards of what we're supposed to be at, we are far below that. Now, and I understand all of the concerns, but at the end of the day, this is what it takes to run your service. If I could eliminate the overtime, I certainly would do that. But you don't have, I just don't have enough plugs for the holes.
Chief, I think the struggle, like in any business, I don't know of a business that has their labor cost 50% of your overtime is what your base is. Like, no business can operate like that.
I understand that.
So, and I don't know how many iterations you went through with the Board of Selectmen or anything like that, but when we have your baseline budget of let's say 1.4 million in salary, and you're asking for 50% of that for overtime, what that tells me is we have the wrong staffing model. Like, there's something wrong that we have a salary budget of 1.4 million and our overtime is 50% of that.
I agree with you. You have a serious staffing issue. You are grossly understaffed.
Yeah.
Right, and overtime is ridiculously expensive, right? So I feel like there's, like, something is broken here and it needs to be fixed, because you have $2 million. In my mind, you have $2 million to work with. What's a better staffing model? And if it requires having a discussion with the collective bargaining unit to get a better staffing model, someone really needs to look into that, because it's $2 million, but half of, 50% of it is in overtime. Wrong model.
Am I naive in thinking that if we give the fire department 3 new firefighters, and that gets us to this budget right now that's proposed of 1,393 less what our amendment is, if we were to give him 6 new firefighters, I'm assuming they could produce the overtime costs.
But we heard from the chief that he could probably not find 6, because staffing is so.
Well, that was my initial proposal, was for 6.
But then what was your overtime going to be?
I don't have that number in front of me.
It's like,
The problem with the overtime, to your point, is that I'm still locked and handcuffed every single Saturday,
that's what I'm saying.
regardless of how many we have.
But that's what I'm saying, is that's when I think the town needs to ask politely to have discussions with the collective bargaining unit to come to some agreement on the staffing. Whether you're working 4 12s and then 3 12s and there's no overtime for Saturday. Like, this is just it's not sustainable for the town to operate in this fashion. And I know your hands are tied, but no business could run like this, or should run like this.
So, Kim, to your point, what would the overtime look like be? So with 6 on, that doesn't solve our overtime issue because we still pay double time on Saturdays. So overtime would still be north of 600,000. So just off the rip,
The only way it
overtime for
helps
Saturday is
you,
570.
the only way it helps you is because the minimum staffing is 4, and if you were at 6, you wouldn't be filling the first 2 people who were out. You would still have the ability to work with 4.
This model includes that $300,000. It's accounting for the accrued time off at 5,100 hours, not taken into account in this model.
All right, so the question on the table is, thank you everybody for the discussion, item 51619, which is 1,393,243. The motion was to reduce it by 59,098. and ask that the chief stagger the hires July 1, October 1, January 1. Any other discussion? Barry,
Yes,
Sandri,
just real
maybe
quick.
less comment if it's okay.
Just real quick. When you're severely understaffed, plus you have an agreement that every Saturday is overtime, it's not going to run like a business, okay? It's a municipal service. Some things are different, and I'm not saying that you're wrong in what you're saying. I'm just saying, as you've said before, your hands are handcuffed, and this is what it is. We can look towards the future, but right now, we've got Scott's motion on the table.
And we get to make motions. All right, we're gonna have the vote now. Do I need to say it again? All those in favor of reducing that budget item by $59,098, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other items within the East Lyme Fire Service budget that anybody would like to bring up? I'm going to move on to animal control budget. Any items within 105-4215? Next up, I have emergency management budget, 105-4223. Any items anybody would like to bring up? All right.
Just
go ahead, Rich.
Just a thought. If I remembered right, we used to get a grant from Millstone for the emergency management department. Do we still get that?
We do. It'll be coming before the board in 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. One thing we have not touched on is our annual contribution to the East Lyme Library. That is budget item 105-4501. Our current amount that we budget is $1,360,000. That's the proposal. That represents a $50,000 increase as compared to last year. And I'm going to propose that we reduce that $50,000 by $25,000. Anybody want to entertain such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to reduce item 105-4501 East Lyme Library annual contribution from $1.36 million by $50,000 down to $1.31 million. Any discussion? 50. No, I screwed that up. It's 25,000. I said 25,000 was the motion.
Okay, gotcha.
I just read the numbers wrong. So it goes from 1360 to 1335.
Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries.
Abstain.
Oh, sorry, there's a 501. I forgot to, I always forget to ask about abstentions. I'm sorry. I don't have anything else on my docket that I wanted to reduce. Does anybody else have any other items? Not your last chance. We do have another meeting scheduled for Wednesday night, but go ahead, Rich.
Okay, we can either do this Wednesday night, or I guess it's getting pretty late. But I would like to discuss our resiliency fund, coastal resiliency fund, and also the open space fund. But that can wait till Wednesday night.
Okay, yeah, let's put a pin in it and let's not forget. We'll get the public delegations in a minute.
May I just ask, for our meeting on Wednesday, could we have a full update of capital and a full update of department budget changes? Basically, just new printouts for grant fund expenditures.
Just an update based on all the changes that we've made,
Yeah.
Kevin.
It'd be really helpful to have all that.
And we do need to do cash capital on Wednesday night for sure.
Correct. So what I will do for the boards, I will send this Excel I have to you all, and I will have printed the summary sheet, the revenues, and the expenses. I'll have those printed, so we can have those. Does that work for you guys?
Yes. And there was a number of action items to try and get information, I think, from a few different departments.
Yep, so I have services the community, follow up on tunnel security cameras, a provided quote for the public safety. Did anyone have anything else? Those are the only three I got.
The IT for the town hall cameras.
Yep.
He said, yeah.
You said that, okay.
Cameras, public safety server, services the community, update on capital projects, and grant fund expenditures. Anything else? Okay.
All right, we are up to public discussion. Is there any members of the public who'd like to speak? I got you first on my right.
My name is David Jacobs, 8 Spencer Avenue in Niantic. Maybe it was a misunderstanding in the schedule tonight, but I thought the library, I'm the vice president of the library's board of trustees, which is why I'm here representing the library. Our understanding was that the library, before you voted on the budget, would have an opportunity to present and discuss our budget. So maybe there was a misunderstanding somewhere?
Yeah, we at the beginning of our budget season, I think we did have library on for Monday, March 16th presentation, but there was not a presentation. I have it on my schedule for Monday, March 16th.
We were notified that it was tonight.
I'm sorry?
We were not notified of this.
All right, well,
We're not invited.
I'm happy for you guys to maybe make a brief presentation at our meeting on Wednesday night, because we haven't
I can't make it Wednesday. I mean, that's why we were sitting here for 3.5 hours.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that's why you were sitting here for 3.5 hours. Do we want to do this tonight?
I say go ahead.
Barry Sander, you can stay for a little bit still?
Excuse me?
I'm talking to Barry Sander up in the camera.
Sorry, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Oh.
Yes, Scott.
Yes, yes.
All right. Who's going to make the presentation?
Very brief, and then I'm going to introduce somebody else who will make the primary presentation. I apologize for everybody missing the tip-off of tonight's UConn game, but that's how it goes. I just want to make 2 points as the vice president of the Board of Trustees of the library. The reason our president isn't here is, ironically enough, Steve Lubar, who is the president of the Board of Trustees, also happens to be on the Board of Education. So he's up at the Board of Education meeting, so I'm pinch hitting for him. One personal thing, and then want to make one comment about the library's budget. As some of you may know, maybe don't know, I served on the Board of Finance for 8 years myself. In fact, I was chairman of the Board of Finance for 2 years. So the reason I'm mentioning that is I appreciate more than most people who stand here what you guys are going through, the hours and hours and hours of discussion, testimony, revisions, going through a budget book this thick, so I just want to use the phrase, thank you for your service. More than most people, I understand what you're all going through. In fact, it was so long ago, I was on the Board of Finance, our budgets weren't presented on a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. I won't tell you how we used to review budgets. But anyway, more importantly, I want to just say one thing to keep in mind about the budget. 2 facts. First fact, there's only one department or board or commission in the town of East Lyme that serves a greater percentage of the population, and that's the tax collector, because everybody's affected by the tax collector. So if you take away the tax collector's function, the library serves more people in the town of East Lyme than any other board, commission, whatever, because we deal with everybody from 2-year-olds, toddlers, up to the most senior citizens. The other fact I want to mention is just to illustrate what we do, is that we take a count of people coming in and out of the library, and 2 things we've noticed. That within the last year, our door counts, called a door count, because we have a automatic counter at the door, has just skyrocketed this past year. And most of that, or I shouldn't say most of it, but a largest percentage of that increase is in our children's room. Starting last summer, for some reason which we haven't been able to explain, the number of children visiting the children's room and taking out books has skyrocketed. I don't have an answer for why that is, but it's a fact. And it's something to keep in mind because it's aiding our youngest people, as I say, from toddlers up to teenagers. They're doing more reading, which is great for self-explanatory. All right. To give you more facts and to answer all your questions, I want to introduce Mr. Chris Larson over here, who was our acting executive director. And I just want you to understand why he's our acting executive director. Our executive director, Lisa Timothy, who some of you may know, just this week went on medical leave until sometime in the fall. I won't go into detail, but she's receiving treatments for a serious illness, so she's on medical leave for probably 4 or 5 months. So Chris Larson, who's our assistant executive director, is now our acting executive director. So Chris, take over.
I realize it's late. I'll keep it very quick. I've already presented to the Board of Selectmen, so they're aware. In preparing the budget, Lisa Timothy was primarily the person who was the architect of our budget. She worked to control the costs wherever possible. Certain decreases in spending were in 3 categories: maintenance, operations, and materials. So there were some decreases in our overall budget spending. And that was really to make way for some necessary increases in salaries, which is a 2.75% staff increase. We have a lot of staff that fall way beneath the benchmark in terms of salary, especially our part-time staff. Most of them are making pretty much minimum wage. And if you look at the benchmarks for just New London County, we fall way below. And I could give you more details on that. We have reports on that. We're also assuming that we're going to get a projected about 14% increase in our health insurance, which we didn't really account for last year, and we got really hammered for that. So we're trying to budget that in this year to cushion ourselves so that we're prepared for insurance increases. And again, if that doesn't happen, that's great. Another area where we've had some increases is our utilities. Our phone service doubled the past year. So those are just like 3 main areas where we're looking at where we were looking at that 7.16% increase. Now, I understand that the town wanted us to decrease to 5%, so we were looking at a total of $65,500 rather than $93,796. Now I'm being told tonight that the Board of Finance is looking to cut us down further from that. About, would you say, I'm sorry, Scott, how much was it?
$25,000.
$25,000 from the $65,000. I'm assuming, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to have a real negative impact on our operations, I can tell you that. Most of the town's funding is for salary, benefits, and maintenance and operations, the utilities. So beyond that, a lot of our other funding supplies, I have spreadsheets here on what the town contributions are towards books, towards programming, and then how we supplement that with our annual fund drive and our endowment as well. So do you have any questions for me?
I do. So that you mentioned a 14% increase was what your original plan was?
For the health insurance.
Healthcare expenditures. Does the library participate in the same healthcare insurance system that is now yielding
Yes.
a 10.4% increase that we know about?
Do we know that it's 10?
Yep.
Okay, so that you can.
10.4.
Okay.
So that might reduce your projected increase a little bit. Would you make that because it's 10.4.
Yeah.
So if you could make that calculation and maybe send that to us in the next couple days.
I could do that. I could definitely do that. Sure.
Any other questions?
Scott, I'd like to just make one comment. In preparing for this, I reviewed as many annual plans as I could from all the town departments, and I would have to say that the library is the highest performing entity of our town in terms of the money that comes in and the services they provide. It's absolutely top-notch what they're doing there. There's no other department in the town that comes anywhere close to performing and providing services to the town that the library does. And I would like to compliment you guys on the great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, Barry's made a number of comments over time based on his investigations about the quality of the work that you guys do, so I applaud you as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for the library?
It's great service.
So yeah, if you can get those metrics to us about what a 10.4% increase in health insurance costs will be,
okay.
We can re-deliberate if needed on Wednesday night.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
I
night.
apologize for having missed you in the presentations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we are up to board comments. Anybody on the board wish to make any comments? I just want to say thank you all again for staying for a 3 hour and 45-minute meeting. I appreciate your diligence and engagement and cooperation. I'm glad we got through as much as we did. And do you have something you want?
I do.
Kevin.
All right. I just want to say, can you switch the screen for a sec, James? Just 2 seconds. I know UConn's on. But I just want to say sorry to the library. I'm a reader. I like to read, Chris. I pulled up minutes up because I'm like, I swear I sent, so attached to the meeting minutes from February 11th, you were initially on for March 16th. I tried finding my emails. I didn't see it on the final version of this, so somewhere I must have accidentally cut you guys, so I just want to apologize publicly. It wasn't my intent to not have you guys present. It's just, you were there March 16th. I don't know what happened from the meeting minutes to then.
March Madness.
Something, I don't know. But I just want to say, sorry to the library for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All readers everywhere. We apologize. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions?
Oh, you remembered this time.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.